Jacobson, and just because summer is over doesn't mean it's too late to paint your home. Fall is a great time to check painting off your to-do list. By now, I think I've had my entire home painted by CertaPro painters. They really are the best. You know, CertaPro painters make painting this fall easy and quick. They have more availability, which means you can have your home professionally painted much faster. Cooler weather is arriving, so it is time to think about protecting your home from the elements once again. Have CertaPro painters paint the exterior of your home as well. And with kids going back to school and the family moving back indoors, get excited about cozy nights with a new look from CertaPro painters. Don't put it off. It's time to hire CertaPro painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. Schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Or call 800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro painters, we do painting, you do life.
Church scandals have left many disillusioned. After being abused by church leaders, some wonder if they can ever trust God or the church again. Hi, I'm Julie Royce, host of the Royce Report, and over the past 2 years, I've reported on scandals in the church and know the devastation they've left. That's why I'm hosting Restore Chicago, a one-day conference restoring faith in God and the church. Restore will address how to survive abuse with your faith intact, why, despite disappointment, we can still believe in the church, and the reasons I believe we're in the midst of an unmistakable move of God to purify His bride. Speakers include Nancy Beach, who exposed abuse by Bill Hybels, and Wade Mullen, a passionate abuse advocate. Also joining me is worship leader Josh Caterer.
Oh, the love of my Redeemer, never failing. Come
Please join me Saturday, November 2nd at Judson University for Restore Chicago. For more information, go to restorechicagoconference.com.
It's Health Quest Radio, Chicagoland's longest-running health, news, and science show with your host, Dr. David Kolbaba.
You know, people who age slower live longer. It's our dirt cheap age analysis assessment. We can compare your biologic age with your chronologic age to determine how fast you're aging. Just a few seconds to safely scan for those advanced glycation end products that cause premature aging. And I'll pay for your first assessment. That's right, your first one is free. Then we'll give you a few things to do and retest in 60 days. It's our dirt cheap age analysis assessment. But you gotta call our Health Quest radio hotline at 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. First one free if you make that call right now. Some conditions and restrictions to apply. It's our dirt cheap age analysis assessment. Call 800-794-1855. It's Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11.
At Panera, get breakfast that's fast, not fast food. Try a new Chipotle chicken scrambled egg and avocado breakfast wrap and pair it with a premium freshly ground, freshly brewed coffee. All ready to go with the push of a button. Panera, food as it should be.
5:11, AM 560 Traffic Center time. In for Jim this morning, here's Eddie Manzano.
Not too much happening on the roads. Construction wrapping up in several areas. Right now, our biggest delay is on 80 westbound, heavy from 55 to Geiger, and that's due to road work in two left lanes on the westbound side still. Heavy from 65 to Broadway, and that's due to a stall in two center lanes. Here's some local travel times for you. On the Kennedy inbound and outbound at 20 minutes from O'Hare to downtown. On the Ike inbound and outbound at 29 from Thorndale to the post office. Stevenson inbound and outbound at 34 minutes from 55 to Lakeshore Drive, and the inbound Dan Ryan, 95 to downtown at 15, outbound also 15. Express lanes looking good in either direction. That's traffic. I'm Eddie Manzano on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center and our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
A shower in spots early this morning, breezy, then some sun and clouds by the afternoon, the high 67. Partly cloudy, cool tonight, low 48. Times of sun and clouds, a cool day tomorrow, the high 58. A bit of rain on Saturday, high 61. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer. 60 at O'Hare, 63 Lakefront, 60 this morning in Aurora. Your next news update is at 5:30. Continuous news coverage at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Mick O'Rourke, President and CEO of Signature Bank, Chicago's business bank. I'd like to thank our customers for selecting Signature as their trusted banking partner to help build their businesses. We started Signature in 2006, and we've had the opportunity to meet so many hardworking Chicagoans. From third-generation family-owned businesses on the west side of Chicago to tech innovators at 1871. Signature Bank is proud to work across many different industries in the city and beyond. As the fastest-growing, independently owned business bank in Chicago, Signature is always welcoming new customers. I'd love to meet you and learn about your business.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Retire Chicago. Tune in Saturday mornings at 8 to Retire Chicago with John McNamara of McNamara Capital.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. The Finnish president has never had a more entertaining trip to the United States. I can guarantee you that.
Oh, boy.
In comedy, they call it crowd work, and that's essentially what Trump did in his one-man show with the D.C. press corps. President Trump tackling all issues related to Ukraine and impeachment from the dais in a more comfortable setting with the wingback chairs. It didn't really matter the venue. Trump on what the Democrats have been doing since day one, setting it up, warming the crowd up.
Okay.
And they try and say, oh, let's impeach him. They've been trying to impeach me from the day I got elected. I've been going through this for 3 years. They've been trying to impeach me from the day I got elected.
And in terms of the whistleblower and all of the concerns about the whistleblower safety that the press has been breathlessly reporting.
About the whistleblower, that the identity of the whistleblower should be protected.
I don't care. Look, I think a whistleblower should be protected if the whistleblower's legitimate.
On Adam Schiff and Mike Pompeo and Adam Schiff's of Mike Pompeo.
Yeah, he threatened. I mean, he wants Adam Schiff arrested. He wants him charged.
The most honorable person, Mike Pompeo. And this guy was negative on Mike Pompeo. He can't, there's an expression, he couldn't carry his blank strap. I won't say it because they'll say it was so terrible to say. But that guy couldn't carry his blank strap. Do you understand that?
I think we do understand that. And I appreciate you using the preferred blank strap for the kids so that Jake Tapper doesn't have to give a parental advisory warning before he reads Trump tweets or Trump pronouncements.
And that's exactly what they did on NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
And we have to warn you, the president used some obscene language.
What, he used the word bull jive, except
not
bull
BS,
jive.
right,
Yeah.
in a tweet.
Oh, heavens.
And then was talking about jock straps and all,
A blank straps, excuse me.
Oh, okay.
Then it spilled over into the main event with the two heads of state at the podiums, their respective podiums. And that's when he got into a bit of a back and forth with Jeff Mason from Reuters, and then Jonathan Karl chimed in. But it was really Trump's show.
Mr. President, can you just make clear right here, what do you or what did you want President Zelensky to do with regard to Joe and Hunter Biden?
If you look at what he said, okay, and he brought it up. I think he brought up the name Rudy Giuliani. What I want is the following, and I've said this loud and clear. We have our ambassadors here. We have Mike Pence here. Why are we the only ones that give the big money to the Ukraine? We give money to Ukraine, and it's bothered me from day one, and you have plenty of people just here. I say, how come it's always the United States that gets ripped? Frankly, Ukraine, we want to help them. And I do like the new president. You know why I like him? Because he was honest. Because he said there was no pressure at all exerted on me, meaning him, by the President of the United States. He said it. By the way, that one sentence should stop this. But he said there was no pressure exerted. But you don't have to ask him. All you have to do is read the transcript, read the telephone call. But what I was having a problem with are two things. Number one, Ukraine is known before him for tremendous corruption. Tremendous. More than just about any country in the world. In fact, they're rated one of the most corrupt countries in the world. And I don't like giving money to a country that's that corrupt. Number two,
You don't like
I
giving
said,
money.
excuse me, number two, I said the following, and I said this loud and clear to everybody. And in fact, Rob Portman backed me up, and there's nobody more honorable than Rob Portman of Ohio. Because he called up, please let the money go. I said, Rob, I hate being the country that's always giving money when Ukraine helps Europe and the European countries far more than they help us. They're like a wall between Russia and Europe. They're like a wall. They're a big, wide, beautiful wall. And he said, you know what, but it's important. And in fact, he came out and he said that. That was my only reason. Because I don't like being the sucker country. We were the sucker country for years and years. We're not the sucker country anymore. But I gave the money because Rob Portman and others called me and asked.
So that's what Trump has said in part from the outset, which is that the hold on Ukrainian military aid was, hey, what's Europe doing? And if you remember from the transcript, they had President Trump and President Zelensky agreed that Germany was not doing its share with respect to Ukraine. Zelensky was effusive in his praise of President Trump and agreed with respect to his criticism of the European Union, the lead European Union countries, for not helping pick up the freight for Ukrainian military defense against Russia.
But it got really good with Mr. Mason, when he wouldn't ask the president from Finland a question.
Opening remarks, you said to President Trump that you had been to some museums today and that you respected the U.S. democracy and encouraged him.
That's the wrong soundbite. But when he finally got a chance to ask the president of Finland a question, he asked him about museums. It was so contentious in that room. He's like, so how is it touring the museums today?
Yeah, anyway.
Excuse me. And the president of Finland's still trying to answer the question.
On a related note, let's talk about Finnish culture. Now, the one reporter from the D.C. press corps who did earn plaudits from Trump was John Roberts. Not initially, but ultimately he did, because John Roberts provided the opportunity for Trump to talk about the story of the day, and that's what Adam Schiff knew and when he knew it.
Okay, what's your second question? Well, you shouldn't be asking two questions.
Well, you're going to want to answer.
Do me a favor. Ask one of the.
I will, but I think you'll want. I think you'll want to answer this question.
Ask one of the Finnish presidents.
And then can I come back to you, because I think you'll want to answer.
We'll talk later. Sure. Well, it sounds like it might be a good question. Let me see if I like the question. Go ahead. Maybe for the first time in 3 years, I'll have a good question, and I'll love it.
There is a report that came out just before you and President Niinistö walked out here, that the whistleblower met with a staff member of Adam Schiff prior
I
to
love
the
that question.
complaint being filed.
It shows that Schiff is a fraud.
And
I love that question. Thank you, John.
So can I finish asking it?
Yes, there's nothing to finish.
So the whistleblower, according to this report, met with a member of Adam Schiff's staff. You got it right there. You know it.
I hate to say it's the New York Times. I can't believe they wrote it.
Your response to the
maybe
fact
they're
that,
getting better.
Your response to the fact that happened and that Schiff may have learned some of what the whistleblower knew prior to the complaint.
Well, I think it's a scandal that he knew before. I go a step further. I think he probably helped write it. Okay? That's what the word is. And I think it's, I give a lot of respect for the New York Times for putting it out. Just happened as I'm walking up here, they handed it to me. And I said to Mike, whoa, that's something. That's big stuff. That's a big story. He knew long before, and he helped write it too. It's a scam. It's a scam. Just to finish on this, I appreciate it. I love that second question, by the way. Should have asked it first. But let me just tell you, the whole thing is a scam. The Mueller deal was a scam. The Russian collusion was a scam.
The New York Times report on this that both gentlemen were referencing, early account by the future whistleblower shows how determined he was to make known his allegations that Mr. Trump had asked Ukrainian government to interfere on his behalf in the 2020 election. It explains how Mr. Schiff knew to press for the complaint when the Trump administration initially blocked lawmakers from seeing it. That's a characterization. That's an editorial comment. But the fact is, that's how the the New York Times characterizes it, even though they're compelled to report on it. The CIA officer approached a House Intel Committee aide with his concerns about Trump. A House staff member on the Intel Committee suggests the officer find a lawyer to advise him and meet with an inspector general with whom he could file a whistleblower complaint. The problem is, according to the actual rules and regulations governing such complaints in the intelligence community, I'm quoting from it, the employee may contact the intelligence committees directly as described only if the employee, 1, before making such a contact, furnishes to the director through the inspector general a statement of the employee's complaint or information and notice of the employee's intent to contact the intelligence committees directly. That didn't happen. 2, obtains and follows from the director through the inspector general direction on how to contact the intelligence committees in accordance with appropriate security practices. That didn't happen. He went to Schiff and the House Intel Committee before there was any notification, as at least according to the New York Times report, despite their effort to try to spin it.
Well, do you think President
before
Trump,
he went to the inspector general.
Do you think Schiff helped the whistleblower write that 9-page document?
We have no evidence of that, and this is a classic Trump hyperbole. He doesn't need to go beyond what we know to be true to make his point, but he sometimes can't help himself.
Well,
but
what did you think of yesterday? I mean, the left is saying he was unhinged, he's out of his mind. Or do you think he did a great job defending himself? And I've never seen him that amped up, that angry in 3 years.
I think here's what's happening to the Democrats. This was supposed to be a linear. It's supposed to be A plus B equals C. And we're not even 2 weeks from the bombshell revelation, and it's a mess. This story yesterday about Schiff knowing, I mean, this smacks, again, of the comparison that we've been making, Kavanaugh. And the Democrats' ex parte conversations with Kavanaugh accusers, DIFI, suggesting legal counsel for Kavanaugh. I mean, for Kavanaugh's accuser, for Blasey Ford. I wouldn't say this is going well for the Democrats if they think this was going to be sort of a slam dunk and the prospect of 20 Republicans rolling over and voting to remove him from office if they sent the Senate articles of impeachment. I don't think that's where they're at. John in Evergreen Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Dan, hello, Dan.
Yeah.
I'm so confused about this. They changed the rules where it didn't have to be first-hand information. Now it's second. Now, I want to know from you, do you think the possibility exists that this person is a figment of their imagination? Really there?
Thanks for the call. I don't think so, but I think even asking that question speaks to how much confidence people have in the pronouncements from Adam Schiff and his compadres.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. 64636. Type in DA, then a quick question.
Ed in Oak Brook.
Yeah, you know what, Dan? I'm reporting from the field where I'm engaging the liberal idiots as often as they want. And you know what? They're believing it. They're buying that what Schiff is selling.
Of course they are.
They think that Trump is, it's going beyond humanoids. Usually it's just silly people. Now I'm talking to actual successful, smart people, and they're buying it. So whatever the Democrats are doing, they're buying it, and they hate the fact that Trump is in the White House. They want him out. And I said, fortunately, you're in Illinois where it doesn't matter. Your vote really doesn't count because there's too many humanoids here. But they're buying it.
Well,
and
yeah,
so,
I don't be so fatalistic. Number one, successful people, somebody being successful doesn't mean they're smart, number one, and doesn't mean they're informed. They can be wildly ignorant. It sounds like some of the people you're talking to are. Number two, the polling out on this, I mean, all this is a proxy for, do I hate Trump? Yes. So if I hate Trump, I want him removed because I'm an infant and I'm in temper tantrum mode. So that's what this is. And the people you're talking to, I don't like Trump, so of course I'm going to believe the latest conspiracy theory, just like I believed the previous conspiracy theory for the last 2.5 years until I was told by the Democrats that we have to abandon that conspiracy theory because it didn't pan out. Now we're on to a new conspiracy theory. And of course they're taking 45% of the public with them because of the dyed-in-the-wool hatred of Trump. That's what this is, but it's not an assessment on the merits.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Tom Killeran Photography is ready to memorialize your next event with photos that come to life and preserve the memories for generations. They can accommodate your large group photos to individual portraits, wallet size to panoramic. They can even print your photos on location as a take-home keepsake for your party guests. Visit KilleranPhotography.com. AM 560 The Answer hired Tom Killeran Photography for our annual charity golf outing, and the finished product was amazing. Book Tom Killeran Photography for your upcoming corporate event, family reunion, wedding, bar mitzvah, or any event you want to capture forever. And those old family videos you have on VHS tape, it's time to preserve them forever. Tom Killeran Photography can transfer your beloved memories to DVD and can restore your older faded photos or enlarge them. Visit KilleranPhotography.com. KilleranPhotography.com. KILLORAN Photography.com.
Message and data rates may apply.
Guys, got hair loss? I know what you're thinking. Should I shave my head? Comb it over? Wear a hat? Just stop. This isn't 1970. Keep your hair and your confidence because Bosley, America's #1 hair restoration expert, can give you your real, natural-looking hair back permanently. They're giving away an absolutely free information kit and a free gift card to everyone who texts MORE to 85850. Dude, you don't have to look like your dad because this isn't your dad's hair loss treatment. People all over the country trust Bosley because they use the latest technology to give you your real hair back. You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. And the best part, Bosley's permanent solution is protected by the Bosley Guarantee. Let them show you for free how awesome your hair could look with an absolutely free information kit and a gift card for $250 off. Text MORE to 85850. That's MORE to 85850.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll discuss the sentence that Dallas police officer Amber Geiger got and the sentencing hearing that will long be remembered at 5:38.
A moment never seen before in court, but you have to ask yourself if you could forgive someone in that moment. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
60 degrees at 5:30 on AM 560, The Answer. Flooding an issue for drivers this morning in parts of Chicagoland. The National Weather Service has issued a flash flood warning for central Cook County. It includes the north side of Chicago and Lakeshore Drive, where there's been high standing water through the evening, and several other roads dealing with high standing water and flooding this morning. Iraqi security forces fired live bullets and tear gas at protesters in Baghdad today, despite a curfew that was announced in the Iraqi capital. 22 soldiers training at a Mississippi military base have been injured during a night parachuting exercise. At least 15 hurt at Camp Shelby were treated by medics, another 7 hospitalized. Staff Sergeant John Healy says none of the injuries are life-threatening. An angry President Trump hammering the man leading the House impeachment inquiry.
He should be forced to resign from Congress. Adam Schiff, he's a lowlife.
Talking with reporters at the White House, the president argued reporters should be ashamed for their reporting on the growing Ukraine scandal, many of which items previously that have been confirmed are being slowly debunked. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders is improving after heart surgery. The campaign says Sanders experienced some chest discomfort Tuesday night, which led him to be checked out. Surgeons inserted 2 stents to one artery to relieve the blockage. Campaign aides later telling the New York Times blood is flowing again through that blocked artery. Dallas police chief promising to increase trust in the community after a former officer was sentenced to 10 years in prison for murder.
We cannot do this alone. We must come together. We must come together not only to heal, but to work hand in hand so that Dallas becomes the model of a safe city. Chief
Renee Hall talking with reporters yesterday, saying she was extremely concerned by some of the testimony during Amber Geiger's trial. A World War II-era plane with 13 on board crashed and burned at the Hartford airport after encountering mechanical trouble on takeoff, killing 7. An emotional Governor Ned Lamont says Connecticut is mourning along with victims and families.
Remember, these are
husbands and wives and brothers and sisters and children, all members of our Connecticut family. And we feel our hearts are broken for you right now.
The 4-engine, propeller-driven B-17 bomber struggled to get into the air, slammed into a maintenance building at Bradley International Airport as the pilot circled back to try for a landing. A man suspected of shooting his stepdaughter outside Elmhurst Hospital is dead after turning the gun on himself. The stepdaughter ran into the ER for treatment. She is in critical condition. The hospital was placed on lockdown for a time. One person in custody after a man was found stabbed to death this week in Naperville. A 17-year-old boy is in critical condition following a shooting on Chicago's west side overnight in the 5800 block of West Washington Boulevard. And a Madison woman is facing charges in a road rage incident caught on video last week on Chicago's south side. Shanika Thomas was cited and charged with a misdemeanor count of criminal damage to property. State police say Thomas was driving along I-57 at Halstead when she cut off another vehicle. Thomas then got out of the car and hit the other vehicle with a baseball bat. The other driver got out, and then an all-out brawl broke out. Longtime Arizona Cardinals owner Bill Bidwell has passed away at the age of 88. Bidwell's father, Charles, purchased the Chicago Cardinals in 1932. Bill worked for the NFL franchise full-time when they moved to St. Louis before bringing that franchise to Arizona. Baseball last night, Rays headed to Houston after a 5-1 win over the A's in the AL wild card game in Oakland, and Major League Baseball also shifts into the division series tonight. First up, Braves and Cardinals. 5:35 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity sees Trump helping minorities.
More than 80% of the new jobs created under Donald Trump have gone to, if you can believe it, minorities. Oh, I thought Republicans hated minorities. I thought Republicans are racist and they're sexist and they're homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, and they keep saying racist, racist, racist. Which one are you looking at?
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Message and data rates may apply. Individual results vary. Exclusions apply.
Contacts and glasses are such a hassle. I'd love to finally get LASIK, but
I'm going to stop you right there. If you want LASIK, then the LASIK Vision Institute has officially taken away everything standing in your way.
Isn't LASIK expensive?
Not at the LASIK Vision Institute. We're offering dramatically low prices and an absolutely free consultation. See for free if LASIK is right for you by texting TOP to 350350.
But I'm really busy.
A text only takes seconds. The LASIK procedure typically only takes 15 minutes, and most patients can get back to work the following day. The LASIK Vision Institute uses the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology that helps the majority of patients achieve 20/20 vision. Dr. Greenberg has performed 75,000 LASIK surgeries and is one of the most experienced LASIK surgeons in Chicago. And we're offering 20% off our already low-cost services.
What's that text again?
Text TOP to 350350. That's TOP to 350350 to schedule your free consultation today.
If your family depends on your income and something happened to you, what would happen to them? You need life insurance, and SelectQuote can help you get it at a price you can afford.
SelectQuote found Jacob, 40, who's in excellent health, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month.
Not in perfect health? Don't worry.
SelectQuote found Tanya, 40, who has type 2 diabetes, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $32 a month.
We shop companies like Protective, Prudential, American General, and others to find you the company with the best rates. Give your family the security they need at a price you can afford.
For your free quote, call 1-800-881-4747. That's 1-800-881-4747. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-881-4747.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
A lost dog, not a lost cause. Read Catching Murphy, the latest book from the Associated Press, available now exclusively at Amazon.com.
5:37 on AM 560. Wow, ton of rain down in Oak Lawn. Almost 2.6 inches of rain over the past 24 hours. It's the reason why Southwest Highway is flooded out in spots. Let's get a check on the roads. In for Jim, here's Edie Manzano.
Inbound Ike, a slight delay from First to Des Plaines, Thorndale to the post office at 30 minutes on the outbound 29. Stevenson pockets of delays from Harlem to the Dan Ryan. 55 to Lakeshore Drive 38 from the Tri-State 28. Outbound to 55 from Lakeshore Drive at 34. Inbound Dan Ryan slow from 18 to the Circle. 95 to downtown at 17. Outbound 15. Inbound 57 at 167. The exit ramp is closed for road work up until 6 a.m. Inbound Bishop Ford delays from the Stony Island Feeder to the Dan Ryan. 8094 Dan Ryan 18. Outbound 15. No major incidents or delays on Lakeshore northbound and southbound. Tri-State northbound, a slight delay from 88 to the Ike. The westbound 290 exit ramp is pretty slow at the moment. On 80 westbound, heavy from 55 to Geiger, and that's due to road work in 2 left lanes. That's traffic. I'm Eddie Manzano. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Breezy, shower and spots this early morning. Then clouds and sun, high 67. Currently 60 degrees. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by AM Woodland Outdoor Design, luxury outdoor living. amwoodland.com.
Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We were talking about the developments yesterday and Trump's press availabilities with the Finnish president in tow. The big development, of course, the New York Times report that finds Adam Schiff's staff. Adam Schiff and his staff knew about the whistleblower complaint before the whistleblower went to the Inspector General of the intelligence community, which is another abrogation of policies and procedures, but that's sort of old hat for Democrats when it comes to their target. Take a couple more calls, and then we'll revisit this. Dan in Libertyville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Thanks for taking my call. Good morning to you. I think there's something going on that is obvious to those that are paying attention, and that's that Barr and Durham are touring Europe themselves. Not the FBI, not the CIA, none of their people. They're going there firsthand, in person, talking person to person, not on the phone, in other words. And so it shows that there's a extreme distrust now of the DOJ and of the CIA. The president just got thrown under the bus by his own people. I think he's going to be doing a hell of a lot more golfing. So he'll be talking with people even out of the White House, where there may be bugs for all we know.
Thanks for the call, Dan. Mark on the south side.
Good morning. I think the whistleblower complaint fell apart when Trump released the transcript prior to Pelosi's formal announcement of an impeachment inquiry. I don't think the Democrats anticipated it, and they know they have a weak case with the transcript because it could be interpreted in different ways. But I think what they were hoping for was to have a legal battle with it, and I think the American people would understand what they would be saying, which is he's obstructing justice. We can understand that. This whistleblower complaint and the transcript, well, that's to interpretation of one who reads it.
Yeah, I've always said that was a brilliant move that the White House did by releasing the transcripts of that phone call, because it showed no quid pro quo. There was no federal bribery statutes committed. I mean, it was great. I thought it was a brilliant move. And now we have this information about Schiff. So,
all right, we'll return to all of the topics under the impeachment umbrella a little bit later. There's a lot more to cover, including what Dan from Libertyville brought up, which is the Barr Durham investigation, as well as more information coming out of Ukraine, too. But we want to get to the sentencing of former Dallas police officer Amber Geiger, convicted the other day, a sentencing hearing and sentencing yesterday. She was eligible for 5 to 99 years in prison. She received 10. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line if you want to weigh in on her sentencing, whether it was appropriate, too lenient, too stringent, and also, of course, the moment at the sentencing hearing that everybody's talking about.
It's really a moment like you've never seen before in a courtroom.
Botham Jean, it was Botham Jean's brother, is Botham Jean's brother. Botham Jean was the gentleman who was killed by this police officer. And you can weigh in on the sentencing, or you can weigh in on what Branch Jean did, what he recommended for sentencing, as it were.
And I wasn't gonna ever say this in front of my family or anyone, but I don't even want you to go to jail. I want the best for you. Because I know that's exactly what both of them would want you to do. And the best would be give your life to Christ. I'm not going to say anything else. I think giving your life to Christ would be the best thing that both of them would want you to do. Again, I love you as a person. And I don't wish anything bad on you. I don't know if this is possible, but can I give her a hug, please? Please?
Yes.
And then they embrace. Three 312-642-5600 turnkey.pro answer line. By the way, Branch Jean, this remarkable young man,
18 years old.
Yep.
I mean, what a sign of an extraordinary act of mercy. And I want the judge to take her sentencing back. And it wasn't enough for some people in Dallas, because last night they had two versions of protests. About 25 people Dan took to the streets. You know, they wanted her to be thrown in jail for life. And Jean's family met to join with community members in prayer at a local church. But you just have to ask yourself if you'd be able to forgive someone in that moment like he did. His father, the victim's father, wasn't so forgiving and didn't betray any, I don't know, what is it, sign of love or forgiveness.
I'll never see him again. And I want to see him. I still want to see him.
So after the father spoke, then when the brother took the stand, and honestly, I can't see that moment enough. Can you? I mean, I think I've watched it about 100 times and showed the kids too. Like, look at this act of love. And then after that, then the judge, and she was crying. You could see her wiping her tears, and then she comes out and gives Amber her own personal Bible, which I thought was another moving moment.
With God's grace, all is possible, even forgiving your brother's killer. And it was a remarkable moment. He's obviously a outstanding young man, as by all accounts was his brother, Botham, who was only 28 years old. By the way, 28 years, that was the sentence that was recommended by Dallas County Assistant District Attorney Lakita Long. 28-year recommendation. Amber Geiger got 10. And it was, remember, a murder conviction and not a manslaughter conviction. We discussed that a bit yesterday. It seems like a bit of a stretch. She went to the wrong apartment. She sees a silhouette. She's apparently confused. She's in the wrong apartment, so she thinks the person is an intruder, and she shoots and kills him. Not premeditation, but essentially the jury agreed with the prosecutor that it was unreasonable for her to be in that state of confusion and act as she did in that state of confusion. And so it is reckless disregard for human life that rises to the level of murder. The father's reaction, obviously, is understandable. You would suspect that from any parent, particularly in the moment. It's still so raw. That's why the brother's statement, that whole moment, is so much more indelible and overwhelming because, as I said, the grace that it takes to make that statement, to make that offering, to publicly forgive in that moment is it's otherworldly, really.
I mean, it was very gracious and mature of him, and mostly that, he told her that she's loved, and I think that she needed that right now. She made a horrible mistake, and she testified on the witness stand, God, I wish it was me who received that gunshot, not him, and I am so sorry. But it wasn't enough to, persuade the jurors or, the judge in sentencing, and they gave her 10 years. Now, she could be paroled in 5 for good behavior, but I still think 5 years in jail is too much. I mean, she had worked a double shift. She was tired. People in that apartment building have testified that, yeah, I've done that before, too. I've gone to the wrong floor, to the wrong apartment. The buildings aren't properly marked, and she made a mistake. I mean, although it's a fatal mistake, but if the victim's brother is forgiving her, then why can't there be some common sense here?
Well, I think you can have justice under the secular law and also sort of a different adjudication when it comes to the person as a human being and their eternal soul. And so what the brother did only has so much impact on what the law demands. And by the way, with respect to, unfortunately, it's a super racially charged case because she's a white cop and the victim was a black man. But still, when you take another's life improperly, like not in self-defense, then there has to be a criminal penalty to that. And the criminal penalties you impose need to be approximately fair and seen as fair given the particular circumstances. So you can't just let her walk away because the brother has the grace to forgive her. I mean, you just can't do that.
Last night at the prayer service, they asked Botham Jean's father, about what his youngest son did in court, saying, I don't want you to go to jail. I love you. And this is what he said. He said his son's expression of faith and forgiveness toward Amber did not surprise him. And he says it's how he was raised.
Obviously. Well, that's the sad thing about this all is that by all accounts, Botham Jean was this, great guy, not unlike his brother. He was doing everything right and working, and he's just sitting at home having a bowl of ice cream and relaxing, and then this awful thing happens to, by all accounts, a very good man. And obviously this is a family that is doing it right with respect to raising their boys.
And they didn't take it to the streets last night. They didn't want any civil unrest. Instead, they went to a church and prayed with other people. Botham's mom, she said, forgiveness as Christians is healing, but there are consequences for actions. And the suffering that her family has felt must not go unnoticed.
Yes, that's right. That's fair. That's a fair statement. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that some of their representatives, some of the lawyers representing the family, are not as restrained and Christian in their comments as the Jean family, because some of the lawyers, Benjamin Crump and others, have been stoking racial fears and conflict. They have been really recklessly comparing this case to Trayvon Martin, to Michael Brown, making this some sort of a proxy case for black and brown people not getting justice, suffering at the hands of police. I mean, this is such a unique, bizarre, tragic case. This couldn't be more different than the Michael Brown case. It couldn't be more different than the Trayvon Martin case. These cases are not the same.
And all racial tensions seemed to dissolve when he got out, asked the judge if he could hug her. I thought that was just a beautiful moment.
Sylvia in Winnebago, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Well, I kind of feel the same, but there is some, the similarities with the Trayvon and the other one, and we had one here in Rockford.
What's the similarity?
That it was a mistake. It could happen, and I've lived in places that it happened. So I came so close to the same thing happening. I walked right up to the wrong door with my key in my hand before I realized something ain't quite right. This is not my place. And not that I'm a cop or anything, but
Right.
I'd have been scared to death.
Right.
You know, I'd have been I wouldn't have known what to do, and of course I wouldn't have reacted like a cop, but the race pimps will always jump in there and they'll want money. And the same thing here happened in Rockford about 10 years ago with a Barmore case that's pretty well known. And the first one in here was Jesse Jackson leading playing the race card and pumping up the crowd, no justice, no peace. So, but one other time at that apartment I was at, I opened the door in the morning, and this cat came rushing in and ran into the kitchen and started looking around. It had come to the wrong apartment.
Oh, yeah,
it thought my apartment was where it lived, and it was looking for its breakfast. So
right,
thanks for the call, Sylvia.
And she threw in an animal story in there, too.
I caught that. Joe in Hoffman Estates.
Hi, guys. I bet the judge didn't even want to give that police officer 1 day in prison, but unfortunately, he had to do what he had to do.
It's a she, African American.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but yeah.
I'm sorry. The judge was a female.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, the judge had to do what the judge had to do because she knew that what this whole country would have been up in a roar. So she didn't really follow the blind justice on this. She had to follow what she thinks best for the country, which is unfair to the officer.
Well, thanks for the call, Joe. However, he was convicted by a jury. She was convicted by a jury, and the sentencing guidelines provide for 5 to 99 years. The prosecutor asked for 28. She would receive 10. So, no, the judge didn't take any extraordinary action. She issued a sentence, obviously well within the guidelines.
And I hope that Botham Jean's family visits her in prison, that they keep a dialogue going, and they can read scripture with her, because you have a lot of time on your hands in prison.
Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Hey, Dan and Amy. First of all, Dan, what you explained about the time matching the crime and all that, you were dead on. I agree with that. I have some compassion for this police officer, but here's the thing. She was very foolish and negligent. She acted a little bit outside of the character of a police officer should do, because they have to exercise a lot of restraint. They're carrying a gun. They have the ability to use deadly force and everything. But they have to also be able to hold that back and everything and ask questions first and shoot later, not the other way around. And so I just feel that the fact that she went in there, here she's going into a room that she's got to realize that, hey, something's wrong here. Maybe the couch is out of place. This ain't my house. This ain't my room or anything like that. Somebody's watching TV, eating ice cream here and the thing of it, and the way the place is set up. There should have been some pause there and everything like that instead of shooting so quick and everything. And the fact that she killed the poor guy and everything, it's like she shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been murder. It should have been manslaughter. But yeah, there had to be some serious punishment for that type of carelessness and disregard for the life there. Just shooting like that because she was scared. She was all that, but she shouldn't have been. If she's a police officer carrying a gun.
Thanks, Craig.
Listen to podcast of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
The Greek philosopher Socrates famously said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Get ready to step away from the busyness of life at a thought-provoking and entertaining evening, October 8th at the Renaissance Schaumburg Convention Center, when World Leaders Forum presents Caroline Kennedy, a Socrates in the City conversation. Caroline, an author, diplomat, and former U.S. ambassador to Japan, will keynote the 8th World Leaders Forum on October 8th. The discussion will be led by best-selling author and Salem radio host Eric Metaxas, a part of his acclaimed series of conversations designed to have some fun finding the answer to life's biggest questions. World Leaders Forum brings recognized world leaders to the Judson University campus each year to inspire and ignite a flame of leadership for all who attend. Proceeds fund Judson University's leadership scholarships and programs that benefit the higher education of youth in foster care. Tickets for the October 8th event are available now at worldleadersforum.info. That's worldleadersforum.info.
Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Jerry Boyer of Town Hall Finance for townhall.com. When the law is working the way it's supposed to work, the prosecution decides what the charge is, and then the jury decides the verdict. In the case of the resistance versus Trump, the verdict has always been known in advance. Guilty. It's the charges which keep changing. When the verdict never changes but the charges keep changing, that's a thumb on the scale of justice. And that's what we've seen in recent weeks with Trumpimpeachment 2.0, the Ukraine edition. New charge, collusion with Russia is out, collusion with Russia's enemy is in. Only the verdict remains the same. Remember, impeachment is an extraordinary legal step designed to investigate under-investigated matters. By what objective measure could anyone argue that Trump has been under-investigated? Oh, I forgot. He will always be seen as under-investigated because no matter what the official charge is, the real offense is that he won the election. I'm Jerry Boyer.
Publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and just because summer is over doesn't mean it's too late to paint your home. Fall is a great time to check painting off your to-do list. By now, I think I've had my entire home painted by CertaPro painters. They really are the best. You know, CertaPro painters make painting this fall easy and quick. They have more availability, which means you can have your home professionally painted much faster. Cooler weather is arriving, so it is time to think about protecting your home from the elements once again. Have CertaPro painters paint the exterior of your home as well. And with kids going back to school and the family moving back indoors, get excited about cozy nights with a new look from CertaPro painters. Don't put it off. It's time to hire CertaPro painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. Schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Or call 800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro painters, we do painting, you do life.
Watch today's show live right now on the Income Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
Joe Biden fights back. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
The truth doesn't matter to Donald Trump. It never has, and it never will.
The Democratic presidential candidate at a rally in Reno added, tell Trump's hatchet men he's not going anywhere.
Biden and his son are stone cold crooked.
Now, the president also said as he battled with the media yesterday,
I have a lot of respect for whistleblowers, but only when they're real.
He's also called for Adam Schiff to resign, the Democrat who chairs the House Intelligence Committee. A Schiff spokesman acknowledges the whistleblower on the Trump-Ukraine call did come to that committee before filing a formal complaint, but was advised to seek counsel and go to the Inspector General. In a few hours, a former U.S. Special Envoy to Ukraine will be questioned at the Capitol in the impeachment inquiry. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave Kurt Volker, who resigned last week, will go behind closed doors with 3 House committees for a deposition. Volker is the first witness to appear before lawmakers in the impeachment inquiry. This after the State Department Inspector General gave documents to Congress yesterday that show the president's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, interviewed fired Ukrainian prosecutor Viktor Shokin, who claimed his investigation into an oil company Joe Biden's son was working with was stopped out of fear of the United States. Democrats call the documents propaganda. Dave?
Rachel, paratrooper training went awry at Camp Shelby in Mississippi last night. The drop went wrong. About 80 U.S. soldiers parachuted into trees. More than 20 of them were injured, some stuck in the trees for hours. It's the first full day of Amber Geiger's 10 years in prison. At her sentencing, the brother of the neighbor that the ex-Dallas police officer killed hugged her.
I'm not going to say I hope you rot and die just like my brother did, but I personally want the best for you.
Geiger shot Sean's brother, she says, by mistake in the wrong apartment. America's listening to Fox News.
60 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Flooding a major issue for drivers all across the Chicago area this morning. A man suspected of shooting his stepdaughter outside Elmhurst Hospital is dead after turning the gun on himself. The man shot his stepdaughter in the face last night in the parking lot of that hospital. Then the stepfather shot himself inside the car. The stepdaughter ran inside the ER for treatment. Elmhurst police tell us the hospital, for a brief moment, was placed on lockdown to make sure that everything was safe. Chicago teachers, school support staff, and Park District workers could all walk off the job on the same day this month. President Jesse Sharkey of the CTU says workers will go on strike October 17th.
I want no one in the city of Chicago to doubt our resolve.
improve the conditions in our schools.
It would mean around 35,000 public employees may hit the picket lines in about 2 weeks. Over a dozen this morning are without a home following an electrical fire in Chicago's Chinatown neighborhood. It happened on the rear porch of an apartment building in the 200 block of West 22nd Place. A 17-year-old boy is in critical condition following a shooting on Chicago's west side. It happened overnight in the 5800 block of West Washington Boulevard. Prosecutors in the trial of two men charged with murder for the 2015 shooting death of a 9-year-old Chicago boy have rested their case after showing jurors autopsy photographs. Corey Morgan and Dwight Doty plotted to kill, according to prosecutors, the fourth grader Tyshawn Lee because his father belonged to a rival gang. Bears inside linebacker Roquan Smith back at practice, planning to play in Sunday's game against the Raiders in London after a personal issue caused him to miss Sunday's win over the Vikings. The Rays are headed to Houston. Tampa Bay, a 5-1 win over Oakland in the AL wild card game. The news service of Panera Bread. At Panera, get breakfast that's fast, not fast food. Try a new Chipotle chicken, scrambled egg, and avocado breakfast wrap. Pair it with a premium, freshly ground, freshly brewed coffee, all ready to go with the push of a button. Panera, food as it should be. 6:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Tickets for Freedom Summit 2019 sold out in record time in response to the high demand. We've opened up an overflow room for attendees to watch the event on Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest. Overflow tickets are on sale now, but are selling fast. Get yours at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists, PJN Tax Solutions, the Illinois Family Institute, Income Store, and by Best Dental Group of Bartlett.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare contracts, and in the process started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. I guarantee if we can't cancel your timeshare contract, you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-919-3200. That's 800-919-3200. 800-919-3200.
Listen up, Chicago area. Are you interested in making active and passive income each month flipping real estate tax liens? Then listen to this. The ProSource Tax Lien Company is offering a free tax lien flip kit, which contains educational videos and a step-by-step report that will show you how to earn government-regulated returns up to 18% that are secured by real estate. Plus, see how you can access tax lien inventory not available to the public. So, if you want to become a real estate investor without swinging a hammer or being a landlord, then text Chicago to 31000 now to get your free tax lien flip kit and get ready to learn how to flip tax liens and acquire houses well below wholesale prices with great profit potential, all from home working part-time. Text Chicago to 31000 right now to get your free tax lien investor kit, plus 2 free tickets to a live training event, which includes a free smartwatch just for attending. Text Chicago to 31000. That's Chicago to 31000 for your free tax lien kit now. Individual results may vary.
At Mattress Firm, for a limited time, take home a free adjustable base with purchase of $699. Plus, get up to $400 in savings and enjoy 0% APR for 6 years. 0 down and 0 due at signing. Shop the Save Big sale, online or in store.
6:07 AM 560 traffic center time. In for Jim, here's Eddie Manzano.
On the inbound Ike, just before Harlem, a crash blocking the left lane, not moving from Wolf. Thorndale to the post office at 55 from Manheim 42. Outbound slow from Austin to First. Post office in Manheim 19 to Thorndale 32 minutes. No delays on the Edens, inbound and outbound at 19. Inbound Kennedy O'Hare to downtown 25 from the junction 11, express lanes at 8. Outbound to O'Hare from downtown at 25, slow from Foster to Cumberland. Inbound Stevenson 55 to the Lakeshore Drive at 50, heavy from Harlem to Kedzie. Outbound at 35, slow from LaGrange to the Tri-State. Inbound Dan Ryan, heavy from 31st to the Circle, 95th to downtown 25, express lanes. Heavy from 35th to the Stevenson. Outbound problem free, inbound 57. Slow from 103rd to Halsted, 80 to Dan Ryan at 17. Outbound at 167th. The off-ramp is closed due to road work. That's traffic. I'm Eddie Manzano. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Meteorologist Steve Williams.
Breezy with a shower early this morning, then some sun by the afternoon, high 67. Partly cloudy, cooler tonight, low 48. Sun and clouds tomorrow, the high near 58. Clouds and a bit of rain on Saturday, the high 61. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
60 degrees at O'Hare. Next news at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Mortgage Update with Dan Frio. Every Saturday morning at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Not only did President Trump attempt to meddle in the 2020 election, attempt to enlist a foreign leader to, quote, dig up dirt, unquote, on a political opponent, but he is also...
Yes.
And this is from a reliable source you'll hear from in a moment.
What? I'm so excited. What is it?
He is also setting up people to be killed in a civil war.
What?
No justice, no peace, Maxine Waters.
Well, whatever. He shouldn't be going after anybody. He's the president of the United States of America. He's setting some of us up to be killed. I have death threats constantly. There are a number of people who have been convicted for threatening to kill me. And when he does that, he's dog whistling to the white supremacists, the KKK, and the dangerous people. And we have stories about many of those white supremacists who do nothing but practice how they're going to be involved in a civil war and fight against this government. And this president is irresponsible in so many ways. Aside from making us a target of these white supremacists and those who would kill us in a civil war, some of us will be the first to be killed.
Just in case you thought that her Civil War utterance the first time was a mistake or an overreach, she said it twice, just to drive it home. Also, this is somebody saying the president is targeting her for death, and she in the same breath calls the president irresponsible. I mean, it's remarkable. These are remarkable times, and nobody punctuates them better than No Justice, No Peace, Maxine Waters, who, again, was one of the staunch defenders of Bill Clinton 2 decades ago when he was going through his impeachment travails, suggesting, as were her colleagues, that the impeachment was all about Republican hatred and it was all about attempting to undo a duly elected president because they didn't like an electoral outcome. We're in some strange times. Yes, we're in some very dangerous waters as well. Wall Street Journal editorializing on where we're at just a couple weeks in. We got another year of this, folks.
Better hunker down. Get used to it.
The impeachment process barely underway, and already some constitutional norms are being trampled without a note of media notice or political concern. Last week's inquisition of Acting Director of National Intelligence, Joseph McGuire, by House Intel Committee Chairman Adam Schiff, captures the prevailing disdain for the separation of powers when Trump is the political target. McGuire has an impeccable reputation, received the whistleblower complaint as part of his duties, then acted responsibly by seeking legal advice about whether the document was subject to executive privilege. For that, he was berated by Schiff, if you remember, for even waiting to turn over the document to Congress. Schiff essentially implying, if you remember their exchanges when Schiff dispensed with his Tony Soprano impersonation of Trump, the exchanges were essentially accusatory in nature, Schiff suggesting that Joseph McGuire was attempting to somehow cover this up, because of his lethargy from Schiff's perspective in turning it over, the whistleblower complaint, to the relevant congressional committees. It's absurd. The journal goes on. The implication is that anytime anyone in the bureaucracy issues a complaint against a president, Congress has the power to demand it be delivered and made public. It's already happening with the stories about Australian PM Morrison. This means no foreign leader can have the expectation that anything he tells Trump or the next president will be confidential.
Are we going to start, releasing President Obama's conversations with world leaders?
Well, this is prospective standard, but I guess, you could look at it retrospectively and let's pore over them and see if there was any additional impropriety that should inform how history remembers President Obama. Sure, could do that.
And
why not?
Shifty Shift had a message for Republicans yesterday.
To my Republican colleagues that say there's nothing to see here, if this conduct doesn't rise to the level of the concern the founders have, what conduct does?
I'll tell you what conduct does. Yours. Your conduct does.
Bingo.
Representative Schiff.
I like Shifty Shift.
The journal's concluding paragraph. Any bureaucrat who now hears about a conversation, doesn't even have to hear it, hears about a conversation, can file a complaint that overrides the president's ability to speak with foreign leaders with the expectation of privacy. We are in dangerous constitutional waters, and not only because of Donald Trump. In the urgency to oust Donald Trump, anything goes. Anything goes. I believe this will be the undoing of the Democrat socialists. Their ends justify the means. You heard Jerry Boyer's townhall.com commentary in our airwaves earlier. The idea that we've always had the same adjudication, and the same charge. It's just the case has varied. We've always started from the same conclusion. He needs to be removed from office. The left has. And now they just changed the charges. Well, that's not the rule of law.
Oh.
And they're willing to do exactly what the Wall Street Journal describes in this Ukraine matter as the latest example of their desperation to depose President Trump. If this is not the undoing of the Democrat socialists, then God help this country. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
And this morning they're saying because of his, contentious press conference yesterday that they described as he was angry, he was unhinged. Their talk of the 25th Amendment again, that he can't control himself. I thought he did great. And here's a moment with Jeff Mason from Reuters.
Look, Biden and his son are stone cold crooked, and you know it. Go ahead, ask a question.
But the question, sir, was what did you want President Zelensky to do about Vice President Biden and his son Hunter?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, it was just a follow-up of what I just asked you, sir.
Did you hear me?
What did you want?
Did you hear me?
Yes,
ask
sir.
him a question.
I will, but
I've given you a long answer. Ask this gentleman a question. Don't be rude.
And he continued to President Trump.
You talking to me? Well, I'm the only one here. Who the f*** do you think you're talking to?
Yeah. I'm sure Bobby De Niro was very upset at Trump's taxi driver, Travis Bickle impersonation from Taxi Driver. Yeah. He probably doesn't like that. You're going to hear more swearing from Bobby De Niro on CNN, to be sure. With respect to the matter of Hunter Biden and the question from Reuters, that Reuters reporter, Jeff Mason, about what did you want from Zelensky? There's a couple points here. I mean, just to inform the conversation.
Please. One,
Ukraine didn't even realize U.S. aid was being withheld until a month after the Trump call. This Wednesday report at BuzzFeed, Ukrainian officials were unaware that U.S. had held up military aid to the country until late August, 1 month after a phone call from between President Trump and, of course, Zelensky. The report somewhat undercuts the allegation that he withheld military aid to pressure Zelensky to conduct investigations that would damage Joe Biden if Zelensky and the Ukrainians didn't even know the aid was being withheld. And, oh, by the way, if the aid was subsequently released. Wouldn't that seem to undercut one of the central contentions of the Democrats? I think it would. Also on the matter of Bill Barr, which we need to get to again, The transcript and the way that the Democrats are characterizing it. I would like you to do us a favor piece of it. As Andy McCarthy points out in National Review, the way they're presenting that studiously omits the context. A request by the president to the head of the state of a country in possession of relevant evidence for cooperation with a legitimate investigation being conducted by our country's Justice Department. He refers him to Bill Barr. He refers them to our Justice Department. There is an investigation ongoing into 2016 election meddling. The strategy, as McCarthy points out, is obvious. It's to derail the Barr/Durham investigation. By the way, as it pertains to that, I mentioned this yesterday, mention it again because of its ongoing relevance. A 2017 story by Politico. Politico. Here's the headline. Ukrainian efforts to sabotage Trump backfire. Ukrainian government officials tried to help Hillary Clinton undermine Trump by publicly questioning his fitness for office. They also disseminated documents implicating a top Trump aide in corruption, that'd be Manafort, right, and suggesting they were investigating the matter only to back away after the election. And they helped Clinton's allies research damaging information on Trump and his advisors. A Politico investigation found.
And that's coming from Politico. Nice.
So, how's
I remember anybody discussing that.
How's the impeachment party going? Jody and Gurnee, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I love your show. I have a nickname for Adam Schiff, and I'm surprised President Trump doesn't call him this.
Mm-hmm.
I call him Bullshiff.
Oh.
I cannot believe that he is still allowed to be in office for lying with his parody. When I heard him say that, I thought that he had more information, that like Fox News and everybody was lying. Like we didn't get the real information. So I was really shocked when he said that. I was appalled.
When he made up words and just made up a story.
Well, thanks for the call, Jody.
In front of Americans. I mean, and people that were just tuning in were wondering, just like Jody, what's going on here? What does he know that we don't know? And it was all a lie. And that's why President Trump suggested yesterday that he should be arrested and charged with a crime for what he did.
Well,
it was so irresponsible.
I don't know about all that, but Adam Schiff, this is his modus operandi. For 2 years,
a sick individual.
2 years, he said, we have evidence of Russian collusion. We have it. When are you going to present it? Well, in due course. And he's still seen by the D.C. press corps and those so blinded by Trump hate that they can't assess things on the merits. He's still seen as legitimate. He perpetrated a 2-year-long fraud, him personally saying, we have evidence of Russian collusion. Well, if you have evidence, what was it? If you turned it over to Bob Mueller, he and his team concluded differently. And if you didn't, then why are you holding it back? This is not a legitimate person. This is a partisan hack engaged in a 2-year 3-year now, temper tantrum, as the rest of his colleagues are, who are ends justify the means thugs. Thugs. Because that's what somebody is who pursues ends justify the means when they're in power, when they have the power of the state behind them, doing it under the color of law. It is illegitimate. He's a fraud, Adam Schiff. And he proves it over and over again, but to no consequence. It's remarkable. Tom in Deer Park.
Oh, hi, good morning. I think the question you asked callers, do you think this will destroy the Democrat Party? And I took a little different tack. Thank you for taking my call. I think that the Republican voters in the primaries, the 13.5 million that deemed our current president a better choice over the other 16 candidates, I think that they, along with their chosen candidate, Donald Trump, had a desire and wish to destroy the Republican Party. I voted for a Democrat maybe once in my life, and I've never missed an election in my life. So I do tend to mostly vote for people with an R behind their name. But if these last 2.5 years have taught me anything, it's that this party has been destructed from the bottom up and the top down.
Okay. I don't. I mean, that's just a statement into the abyss, Tom. Seriously, you just keep saying the same thing, regardless of the conversation, regardless of the facts that we're talking about, regardless of the issue. I mean, I just don't understand it. So you're just going to keep rinsing and repeating the same statement. Do you want to make that statement germane? I'm sorry. Do you want to make that statement germane to the impeachment conversation we're having?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do.
Okay, go ahead. How is what the Democrats are doing going to destroy, or the Trump reaction, I guess you would argue, going to destroy the Republican Party?
Because once upon a time, there was this notion of conservatism, fiscal responsibility, personal responsibility. Every time the president opens his mouth is a mendacity or a lie, okay? And then he's got people covering for him doing that. I mean, once upon a time, you stood up there, you kept your mouth shut. The news cycle ended on a Friday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've got all Saturday morning, Sunday morning, 60, 70, 80 tweets, the content of which are not fit for an 8-year-old to put out. And we're supposed to say that this is the President of the United States. He doesn't have to be Coolidge or Lincoln or Reagan. He can just be an average president. He's an abysmal president, and his fans love it.
Yeah.
The Cult 45 fans, they love it.
And and the DC press corps loves it too, because they amplify it. And as Matt Taibbi pointed out, this has been the DC press corps' cover story for their coverage since he was elected, because they make so much money off of Trump. So every utterance is amplified and dissected and rinsed and repeated through those 24-hour news cycles, most of which are controlled by the left that you're describing. That's number one. Number two, when you think about 2016, and perhaps you should a little bit more, what do you think gave rise to President Trump? Why do you think President Trump, and then candidate Trump, was able to navigate that field of ostensibly, seemingly on paper, more qualified or more attractive candidates, like, for example, Scott Walker, who I supported out of the gate, who has been a successful conservative reform governor of a Midwestern state? He seemed ideal, but he fell by the wayside. What was going on? What had happened to the Republican Party over, say, Reagan to 2016 that led to people to revolt and say, anybody who's part of the sort of the office holding class, I'm going to reject, because that's how much I am seeking something qualitatively different than what's been presented after Mitt Romney in 2012 and John McCain in 2008 and 8 years of big government, compassionate conservative under George W. Bush, after broken promises by H.W. Bush. What is it, do you think, that gave rise to a Trump? He just came off stage left because everybody's immature and everybody just wants to be entertained? Or was there something the Republican Party had become that people were revolting against? I'll let you think about that.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Message and data rates may apply.
Guys, got hair loss? I know what you're thinking. Should I shave my head? Comb it over? Wear a hat? Just stop. This isn't 1970. Keep your hair and your confidence, because Bosley, America's #1 hair restoration expert, can give you your real, natural-looking hair back permanently. They're giving away an absolutely free information kit and a free gift card to everyone who texts MORE to 85850. Dude, you don't have to look like your dad, because this isn't your dad's hair loss treatment. People all over the country trust Bosley because they use the latest technology to give you your real hair back. You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. And the best part, Bosley's permanent solution is protected by the Bosley Guarantee. Let them show you for free how awesome your hair could look with an absolutely free information kit and a gift card for $250 off. Text MORE to 85850. That's MORE to 85850.
I've been telling listeners for years about the benefits of Northridge Prep. Now I'm thrilled to talk about their sister school, Willows Academy, an all-girls college preparatory school for girls grades 6 through 12. Willows Academy has been educating female leaders for 45 years. What do you want for your daughter during her crucial development years? A supportive environment? Positive female role models? Solid, lasting friendships? Willows Academy provides all that, plus a challenging academic curriculum that's structured to help her succeed. Willows is a place where young women can safely spread their wings and learn to soar. At an open house on Sunday, November 3rd, find out why Willows is one of the top all-girl high schools in Illinois. Discover the Willows award-winning arts and athletics, Learn about their top-notch academics, which resulted in last year's graduating class being offered $6 million in college scholarships. To register for the Willows Academy November 3rd open house visit, to register for their November 3rd open house, visit their website, willowsacademy.org. That's willowsacademy.org.
Want your home's furnace to stay safe and reliable? And want to prevent any potential problems before they happen? At your local 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, we recommend an annual furnace inspection and tune-up. Right now, get big savings on a furnace tune-up. Call 855-1-HOUR. Because not taking care of your furnace, that's just cold.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1 Hour.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
No matter how long it's been, when you're back together, you still get that good old-fashioned feeling. Even though you've been apart, it's as though you've never left. That's right. Football season is back.
Reignite your spark right here on the Husky Sports Network. The Huskies take on the Ball State Cardinals this Saturday afternoon at 2:30. Don't miss a minute of the action right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, believe it or not, the calendar says October. Yes, it's fall. The leaves are starting to change colors. There's damp rain, and maybe you're starting to feel your energy level falling. Maybe you're having trouble sleeping, or maybe you have seasonal allergies. Here's what we do know, and admit it, you're not getting enough fruits and veggies in your diet. Pumpkin spice doesn't count as a vegetable, folks. So it's time to get healthy before the holiday season begins and do what we started doing. Take Balance of Nature. With just 6 capsules of Balance of Nature, you're getting 10 servings of 31 fruits and veggies. You hear stories all the time, testimonials right here on this station about how people's lives have changed by taking Balance of Nature. Well, guess what? The next story could be yours, but you've got to order Balance of Nature today. Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Call or go online now and become a preferred customer, which awards you the best pricing and free shipping. And you'll also receive an additional $25 off your first order. Limited time offer. Do not wait. Call 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or go to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Wait till you hear a bit of a slice of the lunacy that has overtaken America's leading Catholic university. Listen up, all you domers in Chicago, to what your alma mater has become at 6:36.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. We have rain showers, 60 degrees this morning, and flash flooding and high standing water an issue for drivers across much of Chicagoland. Drivers, according to the National Weather Service, should beware and not cross those flooded roadways. North Korea's state-run news agency says the isolated communist state has successfully launched a ballistic missile designed to be fired from a submarine. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign says he's improving after a procedure to relieve a blocked artery. Sanders' campaign canceled his events for the coming days while he recovers in Las Vegas. An angry President Trump hammering the man leading the House impeachment inquiry.
He should be forced to resign from Congress. Adam Schiff. He's a lowlife.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi defended Schiff and accused the president of undermining national security.
Undermining his oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution because he was overthrowing an act of Congress just on his own.
Health advocates say there will be 250 million obese children worldwide by 2030. That's up from 150 million obese children today. It's part of a world obesity study, which looked at children in 191 countries to learn whether countries are making progress toward the goal of no rise in childhood obesity. A man suspected of shooting his stepdaughter outside of an Elmhurst hospital has died after turning the gun on himself. The man shot his stepdaughter in the face last night in the parking lot of the West Suburban Hospital, then placed the gun with himself in the car and then took his own life. Stepdaughter ran to the ER for treatment. She remains in critical condition. Chicago teachers, school support staff, and Park District workers could all walk off the job the same day, October 17th, if their demands are not met. Ongoing negotiations between the Chicago Teachers Union, the Service Employees Union, and Park District employees continue. The sister of a Palatine man accused of driving through Schaumburg's Woodfield Mall last month. Speaking out for her brother, Noemi Garcia says her brother Javier should not be labeled as a terrorist. And I must admit that my 23-year-old son knows the words to this song, and I do not. And the song went off the air 2 weeks after he was born.
Now this is a story all about how my life got
Will Smith, capitalizing on the song and the TV show, has a new athletic line just in time for Christmas. Popular sitcom made Will Smith, of course, a star in the 1990s, late 80s. His new clothing line, by the way, is called Bel Air Athletics. Retro gym shorts, T-shirts, jackets, and crop hoodies. And this fashion-conscious news anchor says it doesn't look bad. Rays are headed to Houston. Yandy Diaz, 2 of Tampa Bay's 4 home runs, and a 5-1 win over the A's in the AL wildcard game last night. NL Division Series begins tonight. First up, Braves and Cardinals. White Sox are parting ways with hitting coach Todd Steverson and assistant coach Greg Sparks. The news service of Indeed.com, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring, where business owners and HR professionals can post job openings with screener questions, then sort, review, and communicate with candidates from an online dashboard. Learn more, Indeed.com/hire. 6:33 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager believes the truth may be the answer.
Justin Trudeau has these pictures come out. If he had courage, he would say, I am sorry I did it, but it was not something I was aware of as wrong at the time, nor was it meant with malice. What if he did say that? What would happen? What a refreshing thing, truth from a leftist.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Larry Nora, founder and CEO of U-Store-It, a network of award-winning self-storage facilities in the Chicago area, and a customer of Signature Bank. We've developed over 70 storage centers throughout the city and suburbs, and our business continues to grow. We need a bank who understands the neighborhoods and communities where we are making investments. We found that in Signature Bank. They know this city and its neighborhoods because they are based right here in Chicago. Finding a local banking institution like Signature Bank has been critical to the success of U-Store-It, and we look forward to a long-term relationship.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
A lost dog, not a lost cause. Read Catching Murphy, the latest book from the Associated Press, available now exclusively at Amazon.com.
6:35 on AM 560. Time for a dry basement and a healthy home. It's time to call Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL. And time to check the roads in the AM 560 Traffic Center. In for Jim, here's Eddie Manzano.
On the inbound Ike, just before Harlem, an accident blocking the left lane, not moving from Wolf Thorndale to the post office at an hour from Manheim 45. Outbound to Thorndale from the post office 34. Brake lights from Austin to Des Plaines. Inbound Kennedy, sluggish from Cumberland to Lawrence. Picks up again at Ohio to Washington. O'Hare to downtown 25 from the junction 11. Express lanes at 8. Outbound to the junction from downtown 10 out to O'Hare 25. Slow from Central to Canfield. Inbound Stevenson, slow from Lamont to County Line. Heavy from Harlem to Kedzie, 55 to Lakeshore Drive, 52 from the Tri-State 38, outbound to the Tri-State 25 from Lakeshore Drive to 55, 35, slow from LaGrange to the Tri-State, inbound Dan Ryan, slow from 95th to 87, it's heavy 31st to the Circle, 95th to downtown, 26, express lanes heavy from Pershing to the Stevenson, outbound to 95th from downtown at 15, inbound 57, slow from 107 to the Dan Ryan, that's traffic, I'm Eddie Manzano. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Shower and spots this early morning, then clouds and sun for the afternoon, high 67. Currently 61 at O'Hare. Next news at 7, Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Make sure to check out the Income Store live video stream of today's show right now at 560theanswer.com.
They got the beat, the campus beat. The Campus Beat. Yeah, the Campus Beat.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Is Notre Dame just a football school? I mean, not even football school, just a football program. Is that where Notre Dame's going? Is that what all Notre Dame alumni care about? How about what's actually going on campus there? Alex DeSantis writing in National Review, all is not well at my alma mater, the University of Notre Dame. A couple of weeks ago, anonymous students put up unauthorized posters on campus that read, "There's queer blood on homophobic hands," quote unquote, suggesting that Notre Dame faculty, students, and alumni were responsible for violence. The signs were taken down by campus police, but that wasn't the end of it. Next, a student letter appeared in the student newspaper bearing the same title as the sign and calling out student groups, Young Americans for Freedom, conservative, Students for Child-Oriented Policy, along with Catholic alumni group, the Sycamore Trust, as being responsible for homophobic discourse. And then these same students on campus, these same dizzying intellects who were able to get into Notre Dame, put together this video. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
This is what is happening to the minds of some of the best and brightest in the country. Notre Dame, not an easy school to get into.
Oh, no. Small student population, like 7,000 kids.
And listen to what they're admitting.
Your homophobic discourse soiled my air supply. Your ivory tower theology slit my loved ones' throats. I'm trying to go to class without dead friends in my backpack, just trying to touch my girl's shoulder in the grass. You want to unaffirm me, to lobotomize me with a crowbar. While the murdered trans angels, 18 this year yet, leak brimstone into your praying mouths. Students for Child-Oriented Policy, Irish Rover. You say my piece had violent undertones, that it drew hostile attention. You say expressing a Catholic viewpoint should not be equated to committing a heinous crime. You contrasted your reasoned opinion with my intellectual chaos, that you are targeted. But I must respectfully say that the blood on your names did not come from you or the hate groups you've been inviting to speak on campus. It was ours and my loved ones. Your reasoned opinions seep into churches, into culture. They diffuse like venomous gas from every outlet. That is the very nature of discourse. Your articles have directly affirmed violent lurkers online who would have us lobotomized with crowbars, thrown back into the closets, expelled from the schools. Catholic writers feel like targets. Queer people have, since the beginning of time, flown around on wings made of bullseyes. A trans woman wakes up in a dorm of hundreds of men. A trans boy is kicked out of his home as a teenager and haunts the streets like a ghost. A black trans woman is shot with a gun in the stomach. A black trans woman is burned beyond recognition with only teeth left, scattered in the sand, and this has everything to do with the discursal irresponsibility of privileged scholars like you. I respect your academic freedom. I just ask that next time you type out an article from behind your $1,000 MacBook, you taste a little iron in your mouth, and maybe it's the blood of Dana Martin or Ashanti Cameron, and maybe you feel dust in between your fingers, and it's the ashes of B-Love Slater. This is not scholarship. It's a pained snarl from inside the dark, wet belly of chaos, and it's clawing at your cowardly pontification. You are nothing but a bullet at the gay massacre. You beat us in alleys. You watched us die of AIDS, and yet I'm here laying waste to your reproductive futurism, your procreative shackles. I'm here in class with my gender on my sleeve and centuries of dead queers in my Old Navy backpack. If you want to get rid of me, come to my dorm room. You're going to need a backbone and better words. You're going to need a much bigger crowbar.
And that noise you hear is a student standing behind her with a crowbar, smashing a sign that read, "This is queer blood on homophobic hands."
I wonder where they got the crowbar. But Patrick
crowbar?
Deneen, Professor Deneen, we need your stat to go over to this dorm where they live and use your better words for the lobotomized with a crowbar crowd.
Say lobotomized anymore or crowbar.
Procreative shackles.
So
Free her from her procreative shackles.
So she's alleging that several Catholic organizations on campus are responsible for the deaths of all LGBT people nationwide.
She's alleging Catholicism is.
Okay.
That's what she's really alleging.
That's a very disturbing video.
Hey, Father John Jenkins, president of Notre Dame.
Hello.
A lot of lip service Father Jenkins plays to the importance of civility. That's why you cover up statues when Obama comes to town to speak. That's why you confer awards on pro-aborts like Joe Biden. Right, Father Jenkins? That's why you relegate the head of Priests for Life, Father Frank Pavone, to the back of the bus when it comes to his appearance on campus to support the Catholic position on life.
Well, the university has yet to respond to this incendiary video.
Well, they've responded in part.
Well, okay. How?
DeSantis, who wrote about this in National Review, I asked Notre Dame spokesman Paul Brown on Monday whether the administration would issue a statement on the matter. He said, when the sign was first displayed on campus, it was quickly taken down by Notre Dame Police Department. A subsequent request for permission to display the sign on campus was denied by the university. But Brown would not answer her follow-up question about what does this say about what's happening on the campus of Notre Dame, effectively.
Right.
Yeah. She writes, given the explicitly personal nature of these displays directed at specific members of the Notre Dame community, student groups and the like, one would think administrators might feel some obligation to affirm the value of peaceful and respectable speech devoid of personal targeting, and I would add, crowbar saber rattling. We haven't heard that yet. Notre Dame. Oh, by the way, on the matter of trans, just in terms of beyond the postmodern abstractionism of those poet laureates you just heard from, how's it actually working out in practice? Biological males who identify as transgender are wreaking havoc in women's rugby in Great Britain. I bet. Women's rugby referees in England are quitting their jobs over the inclusion of male athletes, the Sunday Times reporting. One referee telling the British paper, being forced to prioritize hurt feelings over broken bones exposes me to personal litigation from female players who've been damaged by the players who are biologically male. This is driving female players and referees out of the game. We talked about, we've talked about this trans movement and the implications on and on and over and over again and on and on. We'll continue to. But
it's a real problem. And
of course it's a real problem.
They're infiltrating everything.
Of course it's a real problem.
Power, weightlifting, track and field, cycling.
End of women's sports. If you don't think the end of women's sports is a problem, then no problem.
Well, that's everything.
If you don't think women deserve privacy in the bathroom or the locker room, then no problem. We don't have a problem here. If you don't think that people can just make things up, that gender is a social construct, and then they can accrue benefits associated with the fiction, then no problem. I mean, if you think those things are a problem, then we have a problem. And by the way, if you think what you just heard from one of the most fertile minds in America, because you have to be to get into Notre Dame, ostensibly, if you don't think what's happening on campuses like Notre Dame and with the administrators and Father John Jenkins, who has long been, are you ready, Domers? A disgraceful president. Disgraceful. Coward. And I mentioned just two examples. Conferring an honor on Joe Biden, covering up expressions of faith on campus to make President Barack Obama feel welcome, while telling Father Pavone to get to the back of the bus. Cowardly. And by the way, much like the Republican Party, the reason the Catholic Church has been hemorrhaging parishioners, struggling with those who want to pursue the priesthood, is because of priests like Father Jenkins. Disgrace. And now it's visited in his backyard, and what's he going to do about it? Stay silent?
I think she's at the wrong university.
Is she?
Or maybe, no.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Is she?
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Paul in Plainfield, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I was just wondering where this nice young lady got $1,000 MacBook. Mine was more like $4,000.
Thanks for the call. Well, great question. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they get student discounts on campus. I don't know. Great question, though. Very good. At least somebody was listening. George in Libertyville.
I tell you what, if I spent $250,000 or $300,000 on that education down there, and I heard that out of my daughter, I'd kill myself.
Thanks for the call, George. I don't think you have to take it that far, but I know you're speaking metaphorically. Yeah, and by the way, I mean, so understand what that attack is. The student groups are just a proxy for the faith. And it's remarkable to watch Catholic. I mean, you know, being the president of Notre Dame University is sort of a big job, big platform, a lot of influence. And we get a John Jenkins who's a church mouse. He should be a theological and academic leader. Is he? Where are the Notre Dame alums to weigh in on this? Dave and Racine.
Yes, I was just wondering if this Notre Dame is so awful for this young lady. Maybe she'd like to do a semester abroad in Tehran.
Thanks, Dave. Mike on the north side.
Good morning, kids. Thanks for taking my call. Well, shame on old Notre Dame. I love it. The liberals in Notre Dame are being taken to task by the ultra-liberals. First off, don't put out a poem crying about somebody else's violence when at the end you advocate violence against them. You just lost the point. Second of all, these people obviously are Catholic because they are misconstruing what marriage is. According to the Catholic Church, marriage is for procreation. It's not for pleasure. So I guess they don't know the difference between sexuality and the sacrament of marriage. But I just love it.
That's the least of what they don't know. Yes.
Yes. I just love it because every kid growing up is confused and scared and everything else. It doesn't matter if you're straight or homosexual or trans. I mean, think of the hundreds of thousands of people my age who grew up in the 80s and never got to go to prom with Amy Jacobson. They're scarred for life.
True.
But they're not marching over it.
It's about 50-50, though. 100,000 didn't and about 100,000 did. Thanks for the call, Mike. Dave in McCook.
Hey, good morning, guys. First of all, Dan, the way you laid into Tom earlier, I am glad you're on our side, brother.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing with little Miss Monotone on that little audio you played, she's just another privileged little white girl that has no idea what real problems are all about.
Thanks for the call, Dave. I tell you, if you're not willing, I can't. It's just so important this is happening at Notre Dame. Because if you're not willing to defend your beliefs, your faith in this case, in the face of that level of ignorance and hostility, if you're willing to let those people take over campus, silence you, then look out.
You know how they put heavy metal to Greta Thunberg's comments before the UN? I think they could do that with this girl's.
We'll have to track down that producer.
Yeah.
Sean in Elmwood Park.
Oh, hi, Sean.
First of all, tell Mike, hi, how are you? Good morning. Everybody knows marriage isn't for fun, Mike. Why are you paying attention?
Why do you think Dan Proft is single? Because he's the smart one.
Even Dan Proft knows it's not for fun. But, I mean, this is a college kid. Doesn't she sound like she'll be a lot of fun at the parties?
Oh, yeah,
and
you should date her. Ooh, yeah.
Are you know, she might be a freshman. You're jumping all over Notre Dame. Let me tell you something. I sent my kids to parochial school, always. And at every turn, there are idiot teachers because 90% of them are lay teachers. And when you get involved in the beginning, you know how many teachers I made cry? I've actually had some quit. I love it.
Yes.
But I'm going to tell you what.
You may as a student or as a parent?
As a parent.
Oh, I see.
When my kids were little, I used to get involved. I had an art teacher tell my daughter Obama's the greatest thing ever. I said, you're an art teacher. Color in the lines. You leave the economics to the old man that's flipping the bill, stupid. And I did it in front of other people. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. The system itself is what protects these teachers. Notre Dame is just the end vessel who makes the most money. Don't blame Notre Dame. blame the entire system. And that's why, Dan, it can never be free. Even with Stephen Moore and the $16,000 voucher for every little angel out there, make the parents pay. And if the kid can't, he's a ward of the state. And when that kid graduates, he gets a bill. Welcome to America, baby. Because this idea that we protected, all this kid is advocating for, is more free life, more free protection, and less judging. See, this is what the whole thing is. Don't judge. Don't judge, because sooner or later you'll be a kid like this and you don't know up from down. This kid is a victim. I almost feel sad for her because she's going to look back at that in 30 years and say, what an idiot I was.
I hope she will. I hope she will because thanks for the call, Sean. I hope
she'll become a politician, AOC's little puppet.
I hope that will happen in 10 years or 20 years. She'll look back and be embarrassed. But what I fear is happening is that, I go back to that Andrew Sullivan seminal piece from a few months ago, that we're all on one big college campus now.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
The Lou Dobbs Financial Report is brought to you by Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs.
I'm Lou Dobbs. The private sector creating more jobs in September than expected. Walmart, the latest retailer to stop its sales of Zantac, and Carnival cruise ship executives headed to court. Those stories next.
Your credit card companies love you. They love it when your cards stay maxed out. They love it when you only make minimum payments. They love it when you struggle. Why? Because they own you. And minimum payments mean maximum profits. Here's great news. National Debt Relief is now offering you free information on how to escape your credit card debt nightmare. If you owe more than $10,000 in credit card debt and are only barely making minimum payments, know this. You may not have to pay it all back. In fact, you may have the right to settle that debt for only a fraction of what you owe. National Debt Relief has helped thousands of people get rid of over $500 million of debt, and they're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Get the information you need for free right now before this offer goes away. Call National Debt Relief now and escape your credit card debt troubles. 800-314-4789. 800-314-4789. 800-314-4789.
Payroll processor ADP reported private employers across the country added 135,000 new jobs last month. Those gains enough to keep the unemployment rate at historic lows, but the numbers didn't include government hiring, so it'll only get better. Retail giant Walmart halting sales of heartburn remedy Zantac because it may contain a potentially dangerous carcinogenic. Walmart joins CVS, Walgreens, and Rite Aid drugstores in removing both prescription and over-the-counter versions of Zantac because of a possible cancer-causing ingredient. Carnival cruise ship executives will be back at a Miami federal courtroom today. They'll be outlining what they're doing on their 100 ships to reduce pollution of the ocean. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Hey, our listeners have helped build MyPillow into an amazing company that it is today. And now Mike Lindell, the inventor and CEO of MyPillow, wants to give back to the listeners. And you can get deep, deep discounts on all MyPillow products by going to MyPillow.com and clicking on the new radio listener specials box. Type in Amy, by the way, to get major discounts. You remember that whole body pillow, regularly $89.99, but with promo code Amy, it's only $29.99. And all products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. I love MyPillow. I really can't sleep without it. There's no way possible. And also, the mattress toppers are great, and the Giza cotton sheets. They also have pet beds, too, which you can throw in the washer and dryer when they get dirty. MyPillow.com, promo code Amy.
The following is a public notice for those who are disabled and unable to work. To ensure that all Americans are granted fair access to their Social Security benefits, a team of disability specialists are currently reviewing claims. If you've been denied disability benefits before or are making your initial claim, you may be eligible for this program. You'll be assigned an experienced disability specialist with inside knowledge of the SSDI and SSI programs. They'll evaluate your situation, complete your application, and present a strong, effective case to the Department of Social Security on your behalf. If you suffer from a physical or mental disability, you may qualify for up to $2,800 per month. A toll-free number has been established for you to check your eligibility. And there are no fees unless you secure benefits. Applying for Social Security disability can be a long, complicated process. Increase your chances of receiving the federally mandated benefits you deserve by calling now. 800-329-1117. Space is limited. Call 800-329-1117. 800-329-1117.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
Scientific research has shown that many cancers and lifestyle diseases can be prevented with a diet rich in fruits and vegetables. This prevention comes from the phytochemicals in the plants. I don't take any supplementation, but I take Balance of Nature because I've seen it in my lab and I know that it works. I've seen the immune response increase, I've seen your DNA repair capacity increase, and I've seen DNA protection. And that, to me, as a scientist, rings so true, and it's only natural.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Call or go online now and become a preferred customer, which gives you our best pricing and free shipping. And we'll take off an additional $25 on your first order. This will be a limited time offer, so don't wait. Call 800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560. The Answer.
All the love, right? The outfield?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
I was thinking about this the other day, the seminal 80s song that captures the 80s.
Slade. The song.
Run, Run Away.
Run
No,
Away.
No. Come on. It's just not even trying.
That was
You lived through
digging deep.
you were in your 40s and the 80s. I mean, you
Oh
remember
my
it.
The seminal song. What do you think?
I think.
Because I think I'm going to hear what you think.
Well, the outfield just triggered it.
Right.
Josie's on a vacation far away.
That's a good one. What about Def Leppard? Pour Some Sugar on Me.
Yeah. In the conversation.
Deep Purple.
Deep Purple.
Remember Deep Purple? Yeah.
That's 70s.
Oh, Deep Purple was the 70s?
Yeah. Yeah. That's how old you are. You can't even remember the 80s. You can't ascribe the right band to the right decade. Here's another one for consideration.
What?
Bit of a deeper dig.
What?
Someday, Glass Tiger.
I don't even
I put those two.
How does that song go?
I'm not going to sing it. I'm going to have Mike Scott sing it after he checks the headlines.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
When Doves Cry, maybe my 80s song. Flooding causes issues on roadways today. One in custody in a deadly Naperville stabbing, and a judge weighs possible bias by the Jesse Smollett special prosecutor. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
Joe Biden says people will believe him, not the president. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
And I'll put my integrity of my whole career of public service to this nation up against his long record of lying, cheating, and stealing any day of the week.
The Democratic presidential candidate at a rally in Reno last night saying, tell the president's hatchet men he's not going anywhere, perhaps referring to Rudy Giuliani, who claims to have evidence of Biden corruption.
Ukrainians came to me. I didn't go looking for them.
Right.
And they told me for a year and a half they've been trying to get to the FBI.
Now, the Biden campaign says the president's lawyer is pushing desperate lies. Giuliani, who's been subpoenaed in the House Democrats' impeachment inquiry, is threatening to sue Adam Schiff, who knew about the whistleblower complaint on the Trump-Ukraine call before it was filed. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, the whistleblower contacted the House Intelligence Committee before filing a formal complaint with Intelligence Community's Inspector General. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy told Fox's Laura Ingraham Schiff needs to recuse himself from the impeachment inquiry.
Adam Schiff needs to tell us, what did he know, when did he know it, and how many times did he lie to us in the process?
A spokesperson for Schiff says at no time did the committee review the complaint in advance, but instead directed the whistleblower to contact the Inspector General. Dave?
Rachel, in an hour, a special envoy to Ukraine who resigned last month, Kurt Volker, will be questioned privately by 3 House committees. Nearly 24 U.S. soldiers were injured at Camp Shelby in Mississippi when training went awry.
According to an Army spokesman, about 84 soldiers were parachuting from an airplane around 8 p.m. Central Time. He says the wind blew around 80 jumpers away from their drop zone and into a group of pine trees.
Fox's Jackie Abanya, some of those soldiers were stuck up in the trees for hours. An out-of-this-world journey just ended for an American astronaut and 2 others.
Nick Hague, Alexei Ovchinin, and Hazza Ali Al-Mansouri are home.
That was on NASA TV when they landed in Kazakhstan. Returning from the International Space Station, Hague had been there for 6 months. America's listening to Fox News.
Cloudy skies and 60 degrees this morning. 7:02 is our time on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Mike Scott. Flooding an issue for drivers across many parts of Chicagoland. The National Weather Service had flash flood warnings up till around 5 a.m., and that high standing water is still on many area roadways. The latest coming up in traffic in a moment. A man suspected of shooting his stepdaughter outside of an Elmhurst hospital is dead after turning the gun on himself. The man says, authorities say the man shot his stepdaughter in the face last night. She ran into the ER for treatment. He then turned the gun on himself in the parking lot inside a car. Hospital was placed on brief lockdown after that incident. Chicago judge will soon decide whether the special prosecutor investigating possible conflicts of interest in the Jussie Smollett criminal case has a conflict himself. Judge Michael Tooman appointed Dan Webb in August. Tooman is expected to address that issue at a Friday meeting. Planned Parenthood is revealing construction in southern Illinois, one of the largest abortion clinics in the country. We get more on this from our reporter Mark Mayfield.
The organization announced the construction of the 18,000 square foot facility this week. A CBS News report says Planned Parenthood used a shell company to secretly construct the mega clinic starting in August of 2018. The facility is located 20 minutes away from Missouri's last abortion clinic.
Mobile sports betting is now legal in Indiana. The state's casinos started taking game wagers about a month ago, but today marks the beginning of the first Hoosier mobile sports wagering app. Not so fast. The apps are only allowed to operate within the state of Indiana borders. Tampa Bay's 4 home runs gave them a 5-1 win over the A's in the AL wildcard game in Oakland. Now Major League Baseball shifts into high gear as the National League Division Series begins. Braves and Cardinals first up tonight. The news service of Discover. Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year automatically. No limit to how much they'll match. Millions of people a year are getting their cash back matched. Discover Cashback Match. What are you waiting for? Learn more at discover.com/cashbackmatch. 7:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity sees Trump helping minorities.
More than 80% of the new jobs created under Donald Trump have gone to, if you can believe it, minorities. Oh, I thought Republicans hated minorities. I thought Republicans are racist and they're sexist and they're homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, and they keep saying racist, racist, racist. Which one are you looking at?
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare contracts, and in the process started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. I guarantee if we can't cancel your timeshare contract, you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-919-3200. That's 800-919-3200. 800-919-3200.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and just because summer is over doesn't mean it's too late to paint your home. Fall is a great time to check painting off your to-do list. By now, I think I've had my entire home painted by CertaPro painters. They really are the best. You know, CertaPro painters make painting this fall easy and quick. They have more availability, which means you can have your home professionally painted much faster. Cooler weather is arriving, so it is time to think about protecting your home from the elements once again. Have CertaPro painters paint the exterior of your home as well. And with kids going back to school and the family moving back indoors, get excited about cozy nights with a new look from CertaPro painters. Don't put it off. It's time to hire CertaPro painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. Schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, or call 800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro painters, we do painting, you do life.
Indeed, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring, where business owners and HR professionals can post job openings with screener questions, then sort, review, and communicate with candidates from an online dashboard. Learn more at Indeed.com/hire.
7:07 on AM 560, AM 560 Traffic Center time. In for Jim, Edie Manzano.
Inbound 57 just past Sibley, an accident blocking 2 left lanes, not moving from Kedzie. 80 to Dan Ryan at 30 minutes. On the outbound, problem free at the moment. Inbound Bishop Ford, heavy from the Stony Island feeder to the Dan Ryan. 80-94 to Dan Ryan at 30 minutes. No delays on the outbound, Tri-State northbound. An accident blocking 2 left lanes at 87, solid from Cicero. Heavy from 88 to North Avenue on the Tri-State southbound. No major delays at this time. On the Edens inbound, Lake Hook to the junction at 30, outbound 22, inbound Kennedy, O'Hare to downtown 40. Express lanes on the inbound at 15, local at 17. On the outbound to O'Hare from downtown at 40. Inbound Ike, stop and go from North Avenue to the Circle, Thorndale to the post office an hour and 5. Outbound at 40. That's traffic. I'm Eddie Manzano on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Meteorologist Steve Williams.
A shower in spots early this morning, breezy, then some sun and clouds by the afternoon, the high 67. Partly cloudy, cool tonight, low 48. Times of sun and clouds, a cool day tomorrow, the high 58. A bit of rain on Saturday, high 61. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
61 in clouds at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
There it is, Flat Tiger. Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
Sing it, Dan. Come on.
I didn't have the 80s perm, though, some of those 80s hair bands like Flat Tiger.
But you had a mullet, didn't you, with a rat tail?
No, I did not have a mullet or a rat tail. No.
Really?
No.
But you had parachute pants and you were a break dancer.
Well, that, yes. But I had only adopted the mullet and rat tail later in life. That's sort of a throwback move. I tried to bring it back.
What color were your parachute pants? I can't even look at you when I'm asking.
Black and red.
Okay.
I mean, just think of...
straight out of Woodfield Mall in Schaumburg.
Think of Ozone from Electric Boogaloo.
Oh, okay.
You break into Electric Boogaloo.
I'm
that's
so sorry I asked.
That's sort of an avatar. All right, we have to talk about serious matters, not my descents into madness in the 80s.
But there is madness going on in 2019.
Well, I want to start with a positive. You don't get this very often. President Trump complimenting the D.C. press corps, specifically the New York Times and John Roberts with the assist there, Fox News reporter John Roberts. Trump having this to say on the topic.
Okay, what's your second question? Well, you shouldn't be asking two questions.
Well, you're going to want to answer.
Do me a favor. Ask one of the.
I will, but I think you'll want.
John,
I think you'll want to answer this question.
Ask one of the finished president.
And then can I come back to you because I think you'll want to answer.
We'll talk later. Sure. Well, it sounds like it might be a good question. Let me see if I like the question. Go ahead. Maybe for the first time in 3 years, I'll have a good question, and I'll love it.
There is a report that came out just before you and President Niinistö walked out here that the whistleblower met with a staff member of Adam Schiff prior
I
to
love
the
that question.
being filed.
It shows that Schiff is a fraud. And I love that question. Thank you, John.
So can I finish asking it?
Yes, there's nothing to finish.
So the whistleblower, according to this report, met with a member of Adam Schiff's staff. You got it right there. You know it.
I hate to say it's the New York Times. I can't believe they wrote it.
Your response to the
maybe
fact
they're getting better.
Your response to the fact that happened and that Schiff may have learned some of what the whistleblower knew prior to the complaint.
Well, I think it's a scandal that he knew before. I go a step further. I think he probably helped write it. Okay? That's what the word is. And I think it's, I give a lot of respect for the New York Times for putting it out. Just happened as I'm walking up here, they handed it to me. And I said to Mike, I said, whoa, that's something. That's big stuff. That's a big story. He knew long before, and he helped write it too. It's a scam. It's a scam. Just to finish on this, I appreciate it. I love that second question, by the way. Should have asked it first. But let me just tell you, the whole thing is a scam. The Mueller deal was a scam. The Russian collusion was a scam.
The Federal Intelligence Community Whistleblower Law explicitly states intelligence community whistleblowers must formally go through the Inspector General for the IC before contacting Congress. That now apparently did not happen, at least according to the New York Times reporting on Adam Schiff, the House Intel Committee chairman. So that's one area of inquiry. Here's another, Joe and Hunter Biden. Peter Schweitzer was on with Tucker Carlson talking about Joe and Hunter Biden, and basically Hunter Biden sort of undermining the story that Joe Biden has been telling, that he never talked business with his son.
Well, I think it adds up to is the Biden family cashing in by corruption by proxy. Joe Biden as vice president, or his wife Jill Biden, can't take payments from foreign entities. That would have to be disclosed. That would be easy to catch. But you set up your adult kids. And in the case of the Bidens, Joe Biden was point person for the Obama administration towards two countries, China and Ukraine. And lo and behold, the two countries that Hunter Biden ends up doing the most business in overseas are China and Ukraine. And the amounts of money are astronomical, and the deals that he got have absolutely nothing to do with his background. He had no expertise to sell. He had no skill set to sell to either the Chinese or Ukrainians. He was being paid for something, Tucker. It certainly wasn't his skill set. I think we know what he was being paid for.
And Peter Schweitzer did a lot of the research that others have used in his book, Secret Empires, on the topic. Also, a picture surfaced yesterday that speaks
of Hunter Biden and his new wife that he married after knowing her for 10 days.
No.
This guy's not mentally unstable.
No, the new picture that speaks to the relationship between Hunter and Joe, the courtship of Hunter's father there, as well as some of their associates. Tucker Carlson, I think, had the picture first.
Picture shows, it's on the screen, Biden on a 2014 golfing trip with his son, as well as his son Hunter's business partner, Devin Archer. At the time this picture was taken, both of them on the board of the Ukrainian energy company, Burisma.
And he had no idea. Yeah, we played that soundbite too. Do you know about your son's dealings? No, I had no idea.
No idea what's going down. For more on all of these topics under the headline of impeachment, we're pleased to be joined again by Sharyl Attkisson, award-winning investigative journalist, Emmy award-winning host of Full Measure. She's written on the topic, including a most recent column, a deeper dive into what Americans really think about impeachment. Sharyl, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So how did you take the New York Times reporting on Adam Schiff's pre-knowledge of the whistleblower complaint before even the intelligence community, at least the Inspector General's office, became aware of it?
Well, I think I can speak best in terms of sort of analyzing the big picture, and I've fought since 2015, and it's proven to be accurate, that our intelligence community really has an operation going against candidate/then President Trump that continues to this day. And to me, analyzing what I see so far, this looks like another phase of the intel operation, which continues to try to go after, in this case, let's say, Pompeo and Barr and Trump, the very people that stand to expose what they've been doing for the past decade plus. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and Andy McCarthy backs that play. Let's just speak about Barr specifically. He makes the point in his piece for National Review, the way the "I want you to do us a favor" is interpreted from the transcript between President Trump and President Zelensky. McCarthy writes, studiously omitted is the context of this invocation, a wholly appropriate request by the president to the head of state of a country in possession of relevant evidence for cooperation with a legitimate investigation being conducted by our country's Justice Department. In all of these discussions, you have President Trump referring the matter to Bill Barr. I hope you'll talk to Bill Barr. And it's the same thing with the Aussie Prime Minister Morrison.
Right. And, you know, I think because the media, by and large, is interested in mostly one side of the story, in other words, what Trump may have done wrong, and less interested in what really happened, with election interference involving Ukraine and our intel community and perhaps the Bidens, you hear such a one-sided, lopsided kind of view of what's going on. I think if the media were on the other side, or at least even playing it down the line, you'd be hearing a lot more about the intel community's behavior, actions, role in all of this, and what these other countries do stand to be able to tell about this story in ways that would probably expose some of this operation that I've mentioned.
Well, first impeachment testimony begins this morning with Kurt Volker, who's, an alleged role in the conversations between President Trump and the president of Ukraine. But how do Americans really feel and think about impeachment? Are we ready to do this?
Well, I haven't looked comprehensively at all of the polls that talk about it. I looked at one in particular because, as usual, when you see a headline from a poll and it doesn't quite ring true, or I sense there's more to the story, I find there is. And I looked into a CBS poll. It said a majority of Americans favor an impeachment inquiry, something like 55 to 45%. You look into it, like a lot of polls, it was lopsided with a Democrat-heavy sample, which, some say, well, there are more registered Democrats. Well, the headline didn't say majority of, adult voters favor impeachment. The headline claimed majority of Americans. That's not what the poll showed. And then if you do take out the lopsided number of Democrats, which was more, by the way, than what's reflected by our voting population, more Democrats, it starts to look different. It starts to look like it's not a majority necessarily. It's certainly not a majority of Americans. And what I did just for the sake of exercise, you can cherry pick, as you may know, a lot of things from a poll if you look at the raw data. So it's the news that decides what to make headlines of. And there are other headlines that could have come from this poll if you wanted to prove something else. Like, let's see, I came up with one that said, most Republicans say the impeachment inquiry makes them want to defend Trump. I came up with a headline that says, this is also true, majority of Americans in a Democrat-heavy poll says Trump doesn't deserve to be impeached, or say it's too soon to say. In other words, there's a lot of other stuff in that poll that does not make it sound like what the headlines did on it. And in general, I just feel like this is just speaking as an American, not somebody who can speak authoritatively from having studied it. I just think no minds are being changed by any of this. I think you either don't like Trump and you're cheering on this impeachment notion, or you do and you're not listening to any of it.
Yeah, I also, this sort of speaks to a piece in the Journal today by Dan Henninger talking about the Democrats lost in Ukraine. He essentially suggests, this 2 weeks ago, this was supposed to be simple. It was a quid pro quo, and it's an abuse of power, and we need to move to impeach, and it's an urgent concern per the whistleblower complaint, and it's all lining up for us. And so, finally we can jump on it. And now, just several days later, with each passing day and each new bit of information, what Schiff knew beforehand, the fact that Ukraine didn't realize the U.S. had even withheld the military aid until a month after the call. So how much pressure was being applied if they didn't even know pressure was being applied and the aid was released subsequently anyway? It's becoming very muddled. And that's before we get the John Durham report that will be presented to Bill Barr at DOJ, a look back at the 2016 election, and some of the reporting that the D.C. press corps conveniently forgot that they did just a couple of years ago about Ukraine meddling in the election to benefit Hillary Clinton. So it seems to me they find themselves, and this is the point that Henry makes, in a bit of a quagmire. It's increasingly complicated, which means it's less and less likely to move any minds and get them to the sort of political critical mass they're looking for.
Well, there's two things that make me think of when you say that. Number one, I think that Trump threw some complication forward when he released the transcript quickly, because they could have made a lot of fodder out of that for weeks, saying, or even longer, well, he won't release it, and here's what's in it, and it wouldn't have had to have been the truth. They could have just continued claiming there was a quid pro quo, and it would have just built and built and built. So he changed that dynamic to some degree, but to the extent the confusion is happening now, that may benefit those who stand to lose when the Inspector General's report comes out And when Durham's findings come out, let's assume there's something bad in there, as we hear there is, for intel community types or other people exposing the mischief they've done. This confusion in advance kind of turns the table, turns up the heat first on the Trump administration, so that when the other stuff comes out, it just sounds like, is it tit for tat? Is Trump just going after these people because they've found out what he's done wrong? I think sowing confusion sometimes is a benefit, even if that's all people come away with, because they will not be able to focus as clearly on these long-anticipated findings about the FISA Accord and what the intel community was doing.
What did you think yesterday of President Trump's press conference with the, we didn't really hear from him, but the president of Finland was standing next to him, and there's just a barrage of questions. And
sure,
it was a very animated.
The Finnish president said he likes our democracy. He thinks we should keep it.
Yeah, he said,
nice.
I'll come back tomorrow. No, but what did you make of it? Because, CNN, everyone's saying that he was unhinged and he was crazed, and I thought he stood his ground.
Well, again, you can just, if you like Trump, you'll think he did a great job. If you don't like Trump, you'll probably think he's unhinged and over the top. It's just very classic Trump. And I would say overall that served him well. He does not, I think he would not have survived if he had taken a more passive role, if he had not fought back with the furor that he fights with. And he was doing that at the news conference, and I think, in his view, appropriately so. And that if he doesn't, who will? These are slices of moments that more people will see sometimes than just the edited version. He gets to say more of the story. So I think he takes those opportunities. And again, no minds were changed.
I wanted to get your take on something that Matt Taibbi said in an interview with The Hill in promoting his new book, Hate Inc., which in part attacks the commercialization of media. He gives an example of how the commercialization of media works, sort of across the spectrum, because he's one of the few of the left that actually doesn't attempt to hold up this facade of objectivity. He concedes there's no such thing as unbiased, quote-unquote, reporting, the way that some on the left suggest there is. But his example of how the commercialization of media works, get your reaction, Cheryl.
What we do typically in commercial media is we take something that happens, and then we want to commoditize it into packages that we know our respective audiences are going to like. So you take the military budget from 2018, which had the single largest one-year increase in our history. It was $82 billion, which is roughly the equivalent of a year of the Iraq War. And rather than focus on that and everything that's in the bill, which included new forms of nuclear weapons, we divided it into stories that were for easy consumption on either side. So the Democrats and the MSNBC, they talked a lot about Trump failing to mention John McCain, whose name was in the bill when he signed the bill. And this was another instance of him being insulting. Whereas Republicans talked about how Democrats were scheming to take the wall funding out of the bill. And again, these were minor things compared to the larger question of what's actually in the military budget and why is it going up so high.
What do you think about that in terms of, and his essential conclusion is this is how the media, both sides, when there are sides, clearly drawn lines, work to keep us less informed?
I think there's some truth to that. I just might differ a little bit on the origin, whether the chicken or the egg comes first. He suggests that we do it to please the audience, but I would say, in my experience, it's not just commercialization, but it's politicization of the news. But it's being done by those who want to shape the audience. So it's not just, this is what our audience wants to see. There are forces who say, this is what we want people to believe. And that's partly why they select certain segments and report a certain way. And it's a little more nefarious that way to me, and I think it's become to be more true that that's the case in the past 10 years than it used to be. I think it used to be a little more of us speaking and serving an audience, and now I'm a little more cynical about it. It's us trying to shape our audience and make them see and hear certain things.
Yeah, that's a good additional insight, and that rings true to me. She is Cheryl Atkinson, and she's an award-winning investigative journalist, the Emmy Award-winning host of Full Measure. Cheryl, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Message and data rates may apply. Individual results vary. Exclusions apply.
Contacts and glasses are such a hassle. I'd love to finally get LASIK, but
I'm going to stop you right there. If you want LASIK, then the LASIK Vision Institute has officially taken away everything standing in your way.
Isn't LASIK expensive?
Not at the LASIK Vision Institute. We're offering dramatically low prices and an absolutely free consultation. See for free if LASIK is right for you by texting TOP to 350350.
But I'm really busy.
A text only takes seconds. The LASIK procedure typically only takes 15 minutes, and most patients can get back to work the following day. The LASIK Vision Institute uses the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology that helps the majority of patients achieve 20/20 vision. Dr. Greenberg has performed 75,000 LASIK surgeries and is one of the most experienced LASIK surgeons in Chicago. And we're offering 20% off our already low-cost services.
What's that text again?
Text TOP to 350350. That's TOP to 350350 to schedule your free consultation today.
Hey, do you want your basement to be dry most of the time? If so, Permaseal, it's not the company for you. Permaseal hears story after story of homeowners who say their basement only leaks when it's rain. It's true, but you don't want your living room or bedroom getting wet, do you? Then why settle with a wet basement? For over 40 years, the Permaseal team believes your basement should be dry no matter how hard it rains. That's right, you can have a permanently dry basement. Give them a call, 800-421-SEAL. They offer a free estimate, no haggle pricing, and a price assurance guarantee, so you can rest assured that you're getting the best value ever. Roy Spencer started the company back in 1979, and it's still a local Chicagoland family business doing the right thing and standing behind their work. You know who to call if you have a leaky basement. Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL, 800-421-7325, or go to permaseal.net.
Folks, when shopping for a home mortgage, how much is great service, low closing costs, and competitive interest rates worth to you? At Townstone Financial, it's priceless. Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from one of our customers.
My wife and I were buying a new home. We had talked to a few different lenders, really had a very impersonal experience. Most of them just quoted us rates, never followed up. In comparison, Townstone, our mortgage broker, Zach, were amazing. They really helped us understand the mortgage process and made sure that we knew exactly how much we could borrow, how to best borrow it, and really found a solution that was a fit for our financial situation.
Remember, nobody values your home mortgage business more than Townstone. I guarantee it, and I own the company. So call me now, Barry Sterner, at 312-896-2110. That's 312-896-2110. Or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financials, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, Illinois, mortgage licensee 6629 and NMLS 136639, equal housing lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Good song, too.
Love Christopher Cross.
Yeah. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Too harsh or too lenient, the 10-year prison sentence imposed on former Dallas police officer Amber Geiger. We'll take that up at 7:37.
And probably the most gracious moment you'll ever see in a courtroom. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
We're tracking a developing story in Paris. It happened about 15 minutes ago, and we'll keep our eyes on it for you in the newsroom, where a French police union official at about 2 this afternoon, Paris time, says at least one officer has died in a knife attack inside the Paris police headquarters. Again, it's a story that we will continue to follow. There are reports that the assailant was shot and killed by French police at the scene, and the attacker may have been an employee. Those are not yet confirmed. We're tracking the Washington Post and Paris sources for more details on this story. 3 members of the International Space Station crew are headed back to Earth. The NASA flight engineer, Nick Hague, and 2 others completing a 203-day mission on board the station. President Trump diverting some specific questions about his July phone call with the president of Ukraine during a White House news conference. The president was asked why he wanted Ukraine to investigate former Vice President Biden and his son Hunter.
Biden and his son are stone cold crooked, and you know it.
The phone call with the Ukrainian leader prompted a formal impeachment inquiry by the House. The president rolls out an executive order today to boost Medicare. Administration officials tell Reuters the executive order will aim to improve the fiscal position of the program and offer more affordable plan options for seniors. The president will discuss the order during a visit to a Florida retirement village today. Nearly 1 year after a limousine crash that killed 20 in Schoharie, New York, the NTSB will release a report on the tragedy today. Officials say some passengers may have survived if they were wearing seatbelts. The NTSB is now recommending the state of New York make it mandatory that all limo passengers wear seatbelts. Recent troubles with Tesla's automated parking feature is forcing safety regulators here to take a close look at the problem. Now, the investigation into the high-tech attribute, which allows Tesla cars to drive themselves to their owners over a short distance, comes after several drivers have posted crashes or near misses with pedestrians on social media. A man suspected of shooting his stepdaughter outside of Elmhurst Hospital is dead after turning the gun on himself. The man shot his stepdaughter in the face last night. The stepfather then shot himself inside of a car. Over a dozen people are without a home following an electrical fire in Chicago's Chinatown neighborhood. Police say the blaze started last night on the rear porch of an apartment building in the 200 block of West 22nd Place. And officials at Roosevelt University in Chicago are announcing plans for the school to acquire Robert Morris University. Roosevelt's president says a merger would be good for students and employees at both private universities that have both seen enrollment fall a large amount since 2008. Only 4,300 attended Roosevelt in 2018, while Robert Morris enrolled student population has dropped to 1,900. Tampa Bay, 4 home runs and a 5-1 win over the A's in the AL wildcard game in Oakland. Major League Baseball shifts to the National League Division Series tonight with the Braves and Cardinals. White Sox are parting ways with hitting coach Todd Steverson and assistant coach Greg Sparks. The news service of Indeed.com, where business owners and HR professionals post job openings with screener questions, then sort, review, and communicate with candidates from an online dashboard. Learn more at Indeed.com/hire. 7:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Tickets for Freedom Summit 2019 sold out in record time in response to the high demand. We've opened up an overflow room for attendees to watch the event on Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest Overflow. Tickets are on sale now, but are selling fast. Get yours at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Glass Doctor, Unistaff, DS Arms, the Chimney and Fireplace Authority, and by Mars Medical Equipment and Supply.
All right, if your roof's needy, you can call Crumweedy. Hey, Sean Hannity here. If your roof is leaky, if the shingles are curling, or if your roof isn't right after storms, then you need to call Crumweedy with roofing companies, and the difference is, of course, installation. Now, Crumweedy, they know that, and that's why they follow the manufacturer's specifications, so your warranty is totally intact, and many companies don't do that, and that could void your warranty. If you hate high-pressure sales tactics, not from Crumweedy. They give you good, better, best options. You make the choice, no pressure. Crumweedy is a roof that lasts at a fair price. Now, Mark Olson and Greg Olson of Crumweedy, they lead this third-generation family business that's been doing Chicagoland roofs since 1953. Now, they fix roof problems, so if your roof is needy, call Crumweedy. That's 630-595-8020. That's 630-595-8020. They're online, of course, at myroofisneedy.com.
Are you looking to improve your home? Why not make it easy? Don't miss the free Home and Garden Show this weekend only at Pheasant Run in St. Charles. Find the ultimate in savings and convenience with thousands of the latest home products and services for the freshest ideas to remodel, repair, and beautify your home, inside and out. Get trusted advice on your upcoming projects as you speak with local and national experts who will help you with all your home improvement needs. And be sure to attend the free expert seminars and see live product demonstrations all weekend. Be sure to grab your fall plants, flowers, and pumpkins by We Grow Dreams and Sunny Acres, and so much more. From interiors to exteriors, from decor to outdoor, you'll find it all at the Home and Garden Show this weekend at Pheasant Run in St. Charles, with free admission and free parking. For more details, visit pheasantrunhomeshow.com. That's pheasantrunhomeshow.com. Don't miss the free Home and Garden Show this weekend in St. Charles. Visit pheasantrunhomeshow.com for more details.
7:36 AM 560 traffic center time. And in for Jim, here's Eddie Manzano.
Inbound Edens, Lake Hook to the junction 23, outbound 32, heavy from the junction to Toohey. On the inbound Kennedy O'Hare to downtown, an hour and 5 from the junction 36, express lanes 30, outbound to O'Hare from downtown at 55. Inbound Ike, stop and go from Manheim into the circle. Thorndale to the post office, an hour, outbound 45. Brake lights from Central to 25th Avenue. Inbound Stevenson 55 to Lakeshore Drive, an hour 15, heavy from Weber to Kedzie. Outbound to 55 from Lakeshore Drive 42, slow from Kedzie to the Tri-State. Inbound Dan Ryan 95 to downtown 34, outbound 15. Inbound 57, 80 Dan Ryan at 27, outbound 15. Inbound Bishop Ford at 45 minutes from 80, 94 to Dan Ryan. And the Tri-State northbound solid from Crawford to 87 due to an earlier accident. That's traffic. I'm Eddie Manzano. On AM 560, The Answer.
And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. The overnight rain showers should taper off. It'll be breezy through the midday, then clouds and sun for the afternoon. High 67. 48 overnight, 58 tomorrow, 61 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Don't forget that you can watch Chicago's Morning Answer on the Income Store live video stream every morning at 560theanswer.com.
See Michelle Malkin, Sean Hannity, and Laura Logan at Freedom Summit 2019. Tickets on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Former Dallas police officer Amber Geiger, convicted of murdering 28-year-old Botham Jean, mistakenly entering an apartment that was his, she thought was hers. She sees a silhouette. He's not doing anything wrong. He's just relaxing, having a bowl of ice cream in his apartment. She shoots and kills him. She was convicted of murder by a jury of her peers. She was sentenced to 10 years by the judge. There's two questions. One is whether or not the sentence was too stringent or too lenient. The sentencing guidelines provided between 5 and 99 years in prison, again, convicted of a capital crime.
And prosecutors wanted 28 years because he would have turned 28 years old this week.
Yeah.
So it was his birthday.
I appreciate the numerology. I'm not sure I'm compelled by the argument, but okay. Too stringent or too lenient, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. And then there's the other matter of a remarkable moment, a moment you will not forget if you've witnessed it, if you've watched it, or when you hear it from Brant Jean, who's the 18-year-old brother of Botham Jean, testifying at the sentencing hearing, and whether or not you believe you could ever possess the grace to do what Brant Jean did.
And keep in mind, he was crying at the beginning of this, and then he gained strength and offered something no one has ever seen before.
I don't want to say twice or for the 100th time what you've or how much you've taken from us. I think you know that. But I hope you go to God with all the guilt, all the bad things you may have done in the past. Each and every one of us may have done something that we're not supposed to do. If you truly are sorry, I know I can speak for myself. I forgive you. And I know if you go to God and ask him, he will forgive you. And I don't think anyone could say it. Again, I'm speaking for myself, not even behalf of my family. But I love you just like anyone else. And I'm not gonna say I hope you rot and die just like my brother did, but I personally want the best for you. And I wasn't gonna ever say this in front of my family or anyone, but I don't even want you to go to jail. I want the best for you because I know that's exactly what Botham would want you to do. And the best would be give your life to Christ. I'm not going to say anything else. I think giving your life to Christ would be the best thing that Botham would want you to do. Again, I love you as a person. And I don't wish anything bad on you. I don't know if this is possible, but can I give her a hug, please? Please?
Yes.
Not a dry eye in the courtroom. The judge is wiping away tears. The bailiff, who's essentially escorting her over, he's crying. It was just unlike anything you've ever seen in your life, really. Whether you're in court proceedings or not, that was the most gracious moment of love.
And it shows you the power that you can have with God's grace, which is you could forgive the killer of your brother. And I wonder how this will be received by people who otherwise want to ridicule Christianity at every turn. That's Christianity right there in its fullest and most beautiful form, frankly. That's a special young man who was raised right, by all indications from the reporting we've heard, and you get a sense of it from hearing from his parents as well as, of course, from their son, Brant, that Botham was the same sort of man, and it's a tragic loss for our country and this world that Botham was killed.
His favorite color was red, and they lit the skyline in Dallas last night red in honor of him.
It's also
he volunteered too. He was philanthropic.
Yeah,
he was a good community person.
It's also tragic, and why Botham Jean's testimony was so important. It's tragic that this had to become racially politicized, as everything seems to have to become. People intent to try to score racial political points, the race racketeers out there, and it's unfortunately the family chose to be represented by lawyers who were inclined to do so. Benjamin Crump, among others. The invocation at the conviction at trial of Amber Geiger of this verdict was for Trayvon, this verdict was for Michael Brown, this verdict is for black and brown people. No, the verdict was for Botham Jean. The verdict was against a police officer who made a tragic error in judgment that took the life of a man who should be here with us now. And so there is a penalty to be paid. There's punishment that needs to be meted out. This case has nothing to do and bears no resemblance to the Michael Brown case or the Trayvon Martin case or many of the other celebrated cases.
Yeah, but sadly, not a lot of people in Dallas agree with you. 50 people, give or take a few, took to the streets last night. No, because they said this is more of a statement of the worth of an African-American life. That's what the sentencing was.
Yeah. 50 people in a city of 1.3 million.
I know, it's a joke. And you
so
know what?
Not many people in Dallas agree with me? I doubt that.
Well, you know what Jean's family did, and God bless them? They had a community prayer service. They didn't take it to the streets. They didn't want any civil unrest. They wanted prayer. And they went to a community center and prayed. But yeah, again, people on the street.
How many of us is it going to take before you understand that our lives matter?
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment. And just know that too, Judge Tammy Kemp, who was crying during, the sentencing part, afterward came up to Amber and gave her her own personal Bible and said, "This is for you."
And what you do now matters. You did a terrible thing, but what you do now matters. And that, by the way, that judge, African-American female. I mean, just because we have to provide all this context so we can decide if something is fair or not based on the gender and skin color of the person in the position of authority, which is absurd.
And of course, this bleeding heart Republican thinks that 10 years is way too much. I thought the one night she served in prison would be enough because internally she's imprisoned. She's when she was on the witness stand. No, when she was on the witness stand, she even said, I wish I was him and he shot me. I did not mean to do this. And she has to live with this for the rest of her life. She lost her job. It was a mistake. If you've ever been in these apartment complexes that are so huge, it was a hot night. She had worked extra hours. She thought she was in the right building. She thought she was on the right floor, and she made a mistake. And she was overworked and tired, and it was a horrible mistake, but it was not manslaughter. She purposely did not go in there and think, I'm going to kill him. She didn't even know who he was. So it should have been involuntary manslaughter at the most. But it wasn't. But considering what it was, what the jury rendered, within less than 24 hours, if I was the sentencing judge or the judge, I just would have given her the night served she had in prison.
Well, that is very generous. Again, the guidelines, that was not possible, 5 to 99 years. Even if she would have been convicted of manslaughter, that would not have been likely, and it would have been wholly inappropriate. I mean, living in your own personal mental prison because of something that you did that was wrong, a judgment call that you made that was horrific in its outcome, that's not good enough.
But she's a cop in prison. She's going to have to be in solitary confinement because I don't care if she's a woman. No, she's going to be targeted.
So the justice system, you have similarly situated cases, and you set a standard that taking someone's life improperly because you're truly contrite and remorseful and living with the guilt for the rest of your life, that is a get out of jail free card. Well, then we can knock down some of the prisons that we've erected because there's a lot of people that are going to be walking.
Well, I think if Jean was white, she would definitely be spending 5 years in prison, then get out in 2.5 years for good behavior. But she killed an African American, and it's sadly, yes, it is a racial issue, and so she had to.
Well, you have no way of knowing that. What we do know is 5 to 99 years of the guidelines. Prosecutor asked for 28, judge gives 10, and the judge is black female. So I assume there are probably people who think that sentence was too lenient. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line. And by the way, I'm not ascribing to that judge either her race or her gender informed her decision. I would like to think, and based on how the judge conducted herself, I do think that she probably did it based on the merits, taking in all the mitigating circumstances, and made a judgment based on being a legal professional, an officer of the court, not being a black woman. You can't divorce yourself from your identity, but you can make assessments to the best of your ability on the merits and looking at the context as well as the nature of sentencing in similar cases. This is one of these really one-off cases, but nonetheless, the accidental, even though that wasn't really what she was convicted. Reckless disregard for human life, taking another life in a reckless fashion, in an unreasonable fashion, what some of the other sentences in similar cases were, and factor that into the decision that she made. Jordan in Forest Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning, Dan and Amy. I'm looking at the New York Times summary of this case, and it appears as if she was convicted because her testimony didn't match the testimony of the medical examiner, which he indicated that there was a downward trajectory in the bullet. And however, her testimony said that no, he was walking towards her. And then she also said there was a verbal exchange between the two, a loud verbal exchange. And the neighbors indicated they didn't hear anything. The prosecution brought up.
Well, that's not dispositive. That's not dispositive of the issue. Neighbors not hearing a verbal exchange.
No,
okay,
that's not. That's not. But the medical examiner thing, I think, is.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, that's a good fact. That's a good point. Thanks for the call, Jordan. I mean, and again, the prosecutors argued throughout because of the claim that she was making that this was all just a big misunderstanding, that the judgment calls she made were unreasonable in context, and thus the murder conviction. Ed and LaGrange, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I think on appeal she's going to have a really good chance. The judge let in some text messages this officer purportedly made recently that implied that she might have been racist. And I think those things had a prejudicial effect on the jury. And as you say, Dan, would outweigh their probative value. They should not have been admitted in because I think it's going to be a big basis for an appeal. So that's my comment.
Thanks for the call, Ed. Because I read some of those text messages. They dove back as far as 2015 when she was covering an MLK Jr. parade in Dallas and made some, goofy remarks that I didn't think were racial in nature. She was just being, goofy.
It doesn't matter. It had nothing to do with the instance. It had nothing to do with the event that led to Botham Jean's death.
But the prosecutors try to paint her as a racist. Here
I
are
understand.
These text messages.
I understand, and this is exactly the point that Ed is making. That this is the problem too. If she does appeal, and if the case is overturned on appeal for retrial, which is possible, it will be again because prosecutors wanted to play the race card rather than just work the evidence, rather than just focus on the facts. You have to make the case incendiary, even in a way that is prejudicial, because that's how we do things now. And if they're hoist by that and the judge by letting those text messages in, that will be sad. But it'll be a lesson too. Play it straight. There's no reason to always overplay your hand because you have some political agenda you're trying to prosecute, especially in a court of law if you want people to have confidence in the justice system. Play it straight on the facts, on the evidence, and the law.
And on an ancillary issue, I mean, Amber's mom took the witness stand yesterday, too, and said she was molested when she was dating her boyfriend back in, when she was a teenager. It was just really...
Okay.
I know. That's what I wanted. This has nothing to do with anything. Don't even bring it up.
Neil in Oak Brook.
Hi. Yeah, I have a buddy who committed second-degree murder probably about 14 years ago. He's been serving a life sentence up in Michigan. And the mental anguish that he's going through, because I just reached out to him a couple years ago, and just the suffering the prisoners go through, just mentally, it's just insane. And to Amy's point, she's going to pay her dues. And to the gentleman's point on the story, she's going to give her life to Christ, because it seems like most people do when they're in prison. I can't say if the sentence is too light or too heavy, but I think 10 years, she's going to spend a lot of time thinking, that's for sure.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Neil. If only more people would give their life to Christ before.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
If you maintain an industrial plant, you know your dust collection systems are a vital part of the operation of your plant. Without them, things can get dusty quick. And when your dust collection system malfunctions, the downtime can cost your plant money. Time to call the professionals at Vans Industrial for help.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, owner of Vans Industrial. At Vans, we work with many different types and sizes of dust collectors, from 1,000 CFM to 100,000 CFM. If your system needs housing repair, tube sheet, pulse valves, ductwork, or collection hoods, give us a call. Schedule an inspection today to keep things running smoothly and avoid costly downtime. And when you're ready for a new dust collector, we can design your system from the collection hoods to the stack for plants of all size applications.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics, insured at the highest level, to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND. That's 833-VANS-IND. Or on the web at vansindustrial.com.
Interest rate alert. Mortgage rates have dropped to their lowest levels in over a year. If your rate starts with a 4, then call Team Hochberg now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Call 855-56-DAVID now to see if Team Hochberg can help you, as they helped Dan refinance the 6% mortgage he took out 10 years ago. Team Hochberg refinanced Dan into a 15-year fixed loan, saved him over $100 a month, and eliminated over $60,000 in mortgage payments. Team Hochberg also issued a full closing cost credit to cover all of Dan's closing costs. Let's review. Dan called Team Hochberg, refinanced his 6% 30-year fixed loan into a 15-year fixed loan, lowered his payment over $100, saved over $60,000 in mortgage payments, and received a full closing cost credit. Seriously, what are you waiting for? Stop procrastinating. Call David now, 855-56-DAVID, or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg helped me and thousands of AM 560 listeners, but they can't help you if you don't call. 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. Homeside Financial, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I've always been high energy, just going. And I turned 40 last November, and I was tired all the time. Now, taking the Balance of Nature, I just feel good. I have energy when I get home to still wrestle with my kids and do the honeydews at home. It's nice. I can tell that it just restored me to feeling normal, which is great.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Call or go online now and become a preferred customer, which gives you our best pricing and free shipping. And we'll take off an additional $25 on your first order. This will be a limited time offer, so don't wait. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Hi, this is Dan Frio with the Mortgage Update. Is the lack of having enough money in the bank holding you back from buying a home? The state of Illinois is helping first-time home buyers with this issue with a program you can only get through a limited number of lenders that's hand-picked by the state, and I'm one of those preferred lenders. This program is a grant up to $10,000 to help you with your down payment and also cover closing costs. Stop paying your landlord's mortgage and get on the path to buying your own home. Since this is a grant program, funding can run out at any time, so call now and reach out to me personally. Just pick up the phone and call 844-775-LOAN. That's 844-775-LOAN to reach me personally, or visit me on the web at windmortgage.com. That's windmortgage.com.
Parkside Lending, LLC is an Illinois residential mortgage licensee and an equal housing lender. NMLS 176162.
AM 560, The
Answer. You're going to see the Joker this weekend, or Joker this weekend.
Joker, yeah, Saturday night.
Phoenix.
Taking Peyton and Eli and already getting some pushback that it's too dangerous for them.
I'll tell you what, in the 8 o'clock hour, if you can't stomach it or Joker, then avert your eyes and ears when I go through the Chicago Public Schools finances. I mean, that's
scary, and that's
blood-curdling.
No joke.
No joke. Coming up at 8:08, we'll get perhaps a little bit of a review in advance of your movie venture, Amy. Maureen Callahan, writer and editor for the New York Post, will join us to talk a little bit about why Hollywood has become a joyless, depressing echo chamber. That's at 8:08.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom. Some breaking news in Paris. Here is Mike Scott.
We're following developments here, and Fox News will also have the latest on an attack on a Paris police station today. Flooding causing major issues on roadways. A man shoots his daughter, then kills himself outside of an Elmhurst hospital. And a judge is weighing possible bias by the Smollett special prosecutor. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
House Democrats have someone new to question. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Kurt Volker, a former special envoy to Ukraine who resigned last month, will be questioned in private this hour by 3 committees, right after President Trump tweeted that Adam Schiff is a lowlife and the Democratic chair of Intel leading the impeachment inquiry should resign. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
A spokesman for Schiff acknowledges the whistleblower first came to the committee and was told to seek legal counsel and go to the inspector general. That led President Trump yesterday to accuse Schiff of authoring the complaint that launched the inquiry.
I think it's a scandal that he knew before. I go a step further. I think he probably helped write it.
There's no evidence that the whistleblower wrote any part of the whistleblower complaint or that Schiff wrote it. Volker's deposition took place as Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has delayed other State Department officials from testifying before Congress. Dave?
And John, the president keeps claiming Joe Biden and his son did crooked dealings in Ukraine.
What I did in Ukraine was carry out the official policy of the United States government to root out corruption in Ukraine.
Well, the Democratic presidential candidate at a rally in Reno.
Trump, on the other hand, was secretly putting at risk our national security by pursuing a personal political vendetta against me.
It was a bad night for a group of U.S. soldiers in Mississippi who spent hours stuck high up in trees. Fox's Evan Brown has details live.
Yeah, Dave, 22 U.S. Army paratroopers stationed in Anchorage, Alaska, but in Mississippi for training were blown away, far away from their landing zone after jumping out of a C-130 over Camp Shelby. 89 soldiers did the jump. Those who were pushed off course by the wind ended up crashing into pine trees. Most were treated on scene, though some needed a hospital. Everybody survived, Dave.
America's listening to Fox News.
Rain showers and 60 degrees here in Chicago, but we will turn our eyes to Paris, France for just a moment. Updating a story we told you about a half an hour ago. A French police union official says now 4 police officers have died from a knife attack carried out by an administrator at the Paris police headquarters. The attacker was shot to death. Union officials say the attack appears to have begun inside of an office inside police headquarters and continued elsewhere inside the large compound that is actually across the street from Notre Dame Cathedral. Motive is unknown, but the employee allegedly responsible for the violence apparently has never posed any problems or sprung up on radar screens before. It's a story we'll continue to follow in Paris, France this morning, and here in Chicagoland, flooding a major issue for drivers. National Weather Service had flash flood warnings up overnight for much of Cook County and the Chicagoland area. A man suspected of shooting his stepdaughter outside of Elmhurst Hospital has died after turning the gun on himself. Authorities say the man shot his stepdaughter in the face last night in the parking lot of that hospital. Then the stepfather entered a car and shot himself. Now, the stepdaughter ran into the ER for treatment. She is in critical condition. Chicago judge will decide this week whether the special prosecutor investigating possible conflicts of interest in Jesse Smollett's criminal case has a conflict himself. Judge Michael Tooman appointed Dan Webb in August. Tooman will now address the issue at a Friday hearing. Bears inside linebacker Roquan Smith, after missing Sunday's win over the Vikings because of a personal issue, is back at practice, planning to play in Sunday's game against the Raiders in London. It's 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. It is a service of Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs. From the Fox Business Network, the latest on Wall Street.
I'm Deirdre Bolton, and this is the Fox Business Report.
PepsiCo is reporting a better-than-expected quarter, even though its profit declined from a year ago. Pepsi says it's dealing with higher costs. Earlier this year, Pepsi launched 3 new flavors made with real juice. Citi says it's too early to call the end of the current 10-year bull market. The report from the bank, Bull Market Old But Not Dead, predicts stocks will rise another 9% worldwide by the end of next year, though it warns the threat of recession is the biggest risk facing markets. The U.S. is planning to impose new tariffs, this time on imports from the European Union, after the World Trade Organization authorized the fees. The WTO sided with the U.S., which argued the EU subsidizes the aircraft maker Airbus. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Tickets for Freedom Summit 2019 sold out in record time in response to the high demand. We've opened up an overflow room for attendees to watch the event on Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest Overflow. Tickets are on sale now, but are selling fast. Get yours at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Clear Financial Strategies, Tom Mirabali, independent health insurance agent with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Monarch Technical, and by Charles Equipment Energy Systems.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and just because summer is over doesn't mean it's too late to paint your home. Fall is a great time to check painting off your to-do list. By now, I think I've had my entire home painted by CertaPro painters. They really are the best. You know, CertaPro painters make painting this fall easy and quick. They have more availability, which means you can have your home professionally painted much faster. Cooler weather is arriving, so it is time to think about protecting your home from the elements once again. Have CertaPro painters paint the exterior of your home as well. And with kids going back to school and the family moving back indoors, get excited about cozy nights with a new look from CertaPro painters. Don't put it off. It's time to hire CertaPro painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. Schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, or call 800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro painters, we do painting, you do life.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare contracts, and in the process started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. I guarantee if we can't cancel your timeshare contract, you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-919-3200. That's 800-919-3200. 800-919-3200.
8:07 AM 560 traffic center time. In for Jim today, here's Eddie Manzano.
Inbound Edens, Lake Hook to the junction at 24 minutes on the outbound 40, heavy from the junction to Lake. Slow from Dundee to the spur. Inbound Kennedy, heavy from Canfield into the junction. O'Hare to downtown, an hour and 3 from the junction, 38. Express lanes at 32 on the outbound to O'Hare from downtown, 55. Heavy from Division to Canfield. Inbound Ike, stop and go from Manheim into the Circle. Thorndale to the post office, an hour and 6. Outbound 50. Heavy from Central to 25th Avenue. Inbound Stevenson. Brake lights from Veterans Parkway to Kedzie. 55 to Lakeshore Drive, an hour and 20 from the Tri-State 50. Outbound 235 from Lakeshore Drive at 50, heavy from First to the Tri-State. Inbound Dan Ryan, 95 to downtown, 34, heavy from the Stevenson. Inbound Bishop Ford, solid from the Stony Island feeder to the Dan Ryan, 80, 94 to Dan Ryan at 45. Outbound at 15. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center and our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Breezy with a shower early this morning, then some sun by the afternoon, high 67. Partly cloudy, cooler tonight, low 48. Sun and clouds tomorrow, the high near 58. Clouds and a bit of rain on Saturday, the high 61. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently 61 in clouds. Next news 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Watch today's show live right now on the Income Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Amy, you mentioned end of last hour you're going to go see Joker with your boys this weekend.
Yeah. I got a little pushback from someone. Saying it's a safety issue.
Right. Well, I mean, it's sort of a remarkable thing. I mean, you've literally had the United States Army warn about Joker. You've got some movie theater chains that are adding security because it could be a trigger for, I don't know, an incel to who's marginally attached to reality and violent tendencies to go shoot up a movie theater, Aurora, Colorado style or something.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not making light of it, but it's just sort of a remarkable moment. The United States Army intervening in discussions about the release of a film in America.
Well, and NYPD is deploying undercover officers to sit in on the film. There's beefed up security in Los Angeles and here in Chicago.
Is this the first film about a deranged killer?
I mean, that's the premise of a lot of movies that I've seen my entire life.
The first expression of violence on the silver screen. And again, I haven't seen it yet, but Joaquin Phoenix has given some interviews. Some of them have become a bit testy, and I understand why. They'd be a bit testy for me too.
They wanted to yank the movie.
Well,
some people did.
Well, some people were advocating, yes, not to distribute it, and some people that are otherwise very sympathetic, like the families of Sandy Hook victims. But because you're sympathetic because something terrible happened to you, and we can all empathize with that, doesn't mean we should suspend the First Amendment, for example. But it's troubling that Joaquin Phoenix is sort of, and Todd Phillips, the director, who, by the way, have been interestingly critical of the left and the sort of outrage condemnation culture. But they have to defend this movie in context of sort of the hyper-politicized discussions on guns and the like. It's almost like Bryan Cranston having to defend playing a man in a wheelchair because he's not really in a wheelchair.
Yeah, they went after him for that too.
It's getting all a bit silly, isn't it? Joaquin Phoenix on Joker.
I don't think it's the responsibility of a filmmaker to teach the audience morality or the difference between right or wrong. I mean, to me, I think that's obvious. I think if you have somebody that has that level of emotional disturbance, I think that they can find fuel anywhere. And so I just don't think that you can function that way. I mean, the truth is, you don't know what is going to be the fuel for somebody, and it might very well be your question. It might be this moment, right? But you can't function in life saying, well, I can't ask that question for the small chance that somebody might be affected by that question, right? I wouldn't ask you to do that, right? I wouldn't ask you to censor yourself.
This just in, we shouldn't look to Hollywood for moral instruction. What a revelation. For more on the topic, we're pleased to be joined by Maureen Callahan. She's a writer and editor for the New York Post, author of the New York Times bestseller, American Predator, The Hunt for the Most Meticulous Serial Killer of the 21st Century. And she had a good piece in the Post about the depressing echo chamber that is Hollywood these days. Maureen, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
What do you think about all of the controversy swirling around Joker and the Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips sort of being endlessly pilloried about the potential dangerous nature, the dangerous nature of the film in terms of what somebody could do if they go see it?
It's so interesting because it feels like two distinct phenomena are colliding in the culture right now. You have Hollywood reflecting and refracting, I think, our own collective anxieties about multiple things. That was the sort of focus of the last column I wrote, that Hollywood has become sort of joyless. And then secondly, you have, we are not that far out from 1 week in America that saw 3 random mass shootings. 3. And I think were it not for that hyper alert state that we're in, where, it's not if but when the next mass shooting occurs, that Joker is sort of, being released into this climate. I think that's the reason. That's why you see, as you guys were talking about just now, the United States Army issuing a memo. It's unfortunate, but it's a very real collective anxiety we're feeling.
Well, is there some intel that they have that there's somebody's planning a shooting at the screening of the Joker?
I don't know that. I mean, I do know that they do monitor those corners of the web where the so-called incels will gather and talk and encourage each other. And a film like this, one of the things I do wish that Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix would talk about, because it is relevant, is, Joaquin is not the first person to play the Joker as a psychopath.
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger really was the one to sort of mainline that psychopathy in such a brilliant way. But this iteration of the Joker is again like entering the culture at a moment where he seems like this version could be something of a clarion call to the incel community. It's an uncomfortable conversation to have, and I'm sure not one either really anticipated when they began working on the film, but unfortunately it is where we are. Can you blame a film for or any piece of art for such heinous violence? Of course not. Of course not. But can you acknowledge the likelihood that one or more troubled individuals might find something in it? I think that's a fair question.
Yeah, it's a fair question, but it's a question that is unevenly asked. For example, I didn't hear it being asked about Snoop Dogg's video in which Trump is assassinated. I didn't hear it being asked about Childish Gambino's video where people are violently killed, gunfire sprayed. I didn't hear it asked about Madonna's idiotic video trying to stay relevant, doing the same thing, a nightclub shooting a la Pulse in Orlando. So I didn't hear it asked in those instances of art, and I hear it asked in this instance. It's curious to me.
Well, it's interesting. I would definitely push back a little on Childish Gambino, because that to me was an artistic commentary on such gun violence happening even in places of worship, and the culture taking a beat, and the nation taking a beat, our leaders taking a beat, and then shrugging and walking away. And it's going to happen again.
Well, I understand, but I mean, remember, we're talking here in the context of the joke, how somebody could receive the film. It doesn't matter what the intended commentary was, and this is the other disturbing part of the conversation. It's how somebody could receive it, because the way the Joker has been characterized has been rejected by Todd Phillips. That's not what we were attempting to convey. Some of the criticisms, including from the Sandy Hook parents, that's not what the character development, that's not what we had in mind with the character development here. But if somebody perceives it that way and does something, regardless of the accuracy of that perception, then somehow we're supposed to call into question whether this expression should be allowed.
Well, I think the issue with that response is that it seems at best evasive. I mean, the fact is that this iteration of the Joker is portrayed as a loner, as a societal reject, as a career failure, as someone whose anger at failing begins to manifest itself in random societal violence. And so I think that for him to sort of reject the hypothesis, to paraphrase Quentin Tarantino this very summer, that it's evasive at best. Yeah, I think that's fair.
You also wrote in your article that was published in the New York Post titled "Why Hollywood Has Become a Joyless, Depressing Echo Chamber" about Demi Moore. And I don't know if you saw our interview on Good Morning America with Diane Sawyer. It was painful to watch how she
all
admitted,
Diane Sawyer interviews are painful.
No, it was just, how she was raped at age 15 and her mom sold her off for $500.
It was true. It was truly terrible. Truly terrible. It's interesting with her memoir. It sort of fell into a piece of a lot of stuff that is coming out of Hollywood at the moment, and into no way minimize what she went through, which is unimaginable. But it's also easy to forget, as Demi Moore was sort of doing the rounds publicizing her book. And she's doing the rounds of major talk shows, basically parceling out parts of her life, for consumption that have to do with her marriage to a younger man, dissolving in threesomes and a miscarriage and losing control of her sobriety and all of these things. And it struck me that it was so easy to forget that this was once the highest paid actress on the planet. Yeah. She broke so many barriers for women in Hollywood. She was once the most powerful actress in Hollywood. And there seemed to be no acknowledgement of that. It just seemed to be the terrible parts of her life that she was highlighting for promotion for her memoir, and it struck me as distinctly odd. It maybe more so for us than for her. Is that what people want?
Well,
is that what we want now?
Well, I mean, so speaking of the culture, you described some of the joylessness of Hollywood, and you contrast it from like the Robert Evans era. You mentioned reading his his memoir, The Kid Stays in the Picture, which was great, and the HBO film that it was made into is good too. But as sort of celebratory and acknowledging of excesses and so forth, but celebratory of life, it seems to me one aspect of the culture now is a celebration of victimhood. And so if you don't have an angle towards victimhood where we can all sort of empathize with you and identify with you, we're a victim, but Demi Moore's a victim too. And I'm not minimizing what happened to her, but I'm just talking about culture generally. Victimization is celebrated, success isn't.
There is definitely a strain of that happening right now. I mean, even in putting aside the trauma she went through as a teenager, when she was talking about all of these horrible things that happened to her as an adult, her marriage to Bruce Willis failing, her marriage to Ashton Kutcher failing, et cetera, the framing was all these things happened to me. There was a distinct lack of agency.
Yeah.
And that struck me as again, really, really odd. How do you go from, you do not get to be the highest paid actress in the world because you lack moxie, because you lack willpower and the ability to stand up for yourself in a room and say, no, I deserve this. And this was at a time when, for women to do that, and it's not that long ago, her nickname in Hollywood was Gimme More. And now actresses are celebrated for demanding pay parity with their male co-stars.
Yeah.
So I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that Demi Moore making the rounds, and being a role model for actresses now in their prime earning years. And really imparting what she knew and what she learned to them and to the rest of us in the working world.
She is Maureen Callahan, writer and editor for the New York Post, author of the New York Times bestseller, American Predator, The Hunt for the Most Meticulous Serial Killer of the 21st Century. And you want to check out her column in the Post on Hollywood, which I'll retweet out at Dan Proft. Maureen Callahan, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Take care.
And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey everyone, Ken here. For 2 years now, you've heard Carrie and I use metaphors to test to see if you think your home or your business could use a revenue shot in the backside. Today, because of our new website, I can be a little bit more direct. Income Store has 2 doors. If you have more time than money, you're going to live under door number 1. You're going to see over 400 digital assets, 5 to 20 minutes apiece, that'll teach you how to manage numbers and lead people, or show you 6 growth tips you've never heard of. All of this so you can start growing your home or your business revenue literally immediately. If you have more money than time, door number 2 is going to be for you. You can view some of our managed services, look for more done-for-you packages. 34% of Americans in 2018 visited one of our managed services. Forbes 3 years in a row quoted, Income Store is an expert at generating home or business revenue. If you'd love to explore how to check out adding revenue to your home or business, just go to incomestore.com. That's incomestore.com.
Picture your son after his first year of college. What kind of man do you hope to see? A noble young man who commits to do the right thing simply because it's the right thing. Northridge Prep builds that kind of man at an open house on Sunday, October 20th. See what makes Northridge Prep the number 1 all boys and number 4 best Catholic school in Illinois, according to niche.com. My friends who send their sons to Northridge Prep rave about it, too. They say it challenges their sons, both academically and as men of character. It's a good place to be a boy. Northridge Prep is an independent boys' school for grades 6 through 12. Their all AP and honors curriculum produces men who think for themselves. Graduates attend the best universities, including the Ivy League. All the teachers are role models. Nearly half attended a top 20 university. So don't miss Northridge Prep's open house Sunday, October 20th. Register online at northridgeprep.org. That's northridgeprep.org.
Want your home's furnace to stay safe and reliable? And want to prevent any potential problems before they happen? At your local 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, we recommend an annual furnace inspection and tune-up. Right now, get big savings on a furnace tune-up. Call 855-1-HOUR. Because not taking care of your furnace, that's just cold.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1 Hour.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
Stand by. Oh, you know what I was reaching for? The binder to tell you about Balance of Nature. Oh, yes, Balance of Nature. With the seasons changing right now, a lot of us feel like we don't have enough energy. We're not getting enough sleep. Maybe our immune system's low. Maybe we have seasonal allergies. But guess what? Guess what we do know? We do know that you're not getting enough fruits and vegetables in your diet. Pumpkin spice, folks, in your latte does not count as a vegetable. So time to get healthy before the holiday season starts. Do what we've been doing and take Balance of Nature. With just 6 capsules of Balance of Nature, you're getting 10 servings of 31 fruits and veggies. You hear the stories right here on this station all the time about how Balance of Nature has literally changed people's lives. You can be the next story, but you've got to order Balance of Nature today. Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Call or go online now and become a preferred customer, which awards you the best pricing and free shipping. Plus, you'll receive an additional $25 off your first order. It's a limited offer, friends, so do not wait. Call 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or simply go to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, I mentioned more disquieting than I expect the Joker will be, or It sequel was.
Did you see it yet? The sequel?
I haven't seen it yet. I will.
Gory.
This comes to us from Truth in Accounting, Institute for Truth in Accounting, truthinaccounting.org. Chicago Public Schools. You want to get a bit of a gander at their finances, sort of a top-line view, given that an October 17th strike date has been set for 35,000 teachers, support workers, Park District employees. CPS has $2.7 billion available to pay $19.8 billion in bills.
Wait, $2.7 billion to pay how much?
$19.8 billion.
Yeah, do that math.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's $18,000. I'll do it for you.
Okay.
$18,900 per Chicago taxpayer. That shortfall, that $17 billion shortfall. Not only are they responsible for the school district's $18.9, but also for Chicago taxpayers' burden another $38.1. That's $52.6 all in for Chicago and CPS. $17 billion short. And what's the proposal and what's been rejected for a city and a school district that is, by any definition, bankrupt? Remarkable, isn't it?
I mean, those numbers. It's
the blank check.
And it's such a gracious offer from Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
There's nothing gracious about it. It's a scam.
Well, they're rejecting it because
I understand,
it's stupid.
But it's not gracious to make promises you know you can't keep and impose more burdens on people. The offer is ridiculous in the context of the city and the school's finances.
Yeah, and it's still not good enough for CTU and SEIU and the Park District.
It's irresponsibility on both sides. There are no white hats in this story, and there haven't been for generations. So for those mindless Chicago denizens, and including those who read the news on the network affiliate newscasts, this isn't about Lori versus Jesse any more than it was about Karen versus Rom and who's winning and who's a good guy and who's a bad guy. Two sides of the same kleptocratic coin. That's what it is. Two institutions and the leadership of those institutions that are the proximate cause of the financial destruction of one of the world's greatest cities. How's that for picking sides? That's what the numbers say. That's what the numbers say for all of those who care about data and arguments and don't want to make it personal and blah, civility and blah. Okay, let's be real civil. Let's talk about this balance sheet. Real civilly. Oh, by the way, a related story. Kiplinger Tax Map, MarketWatch reporting. Personal finance publication, Kiplinger, released its list of the most and least tax-friendly states in America. The most tax-friendly state, Wyoming, Nevada, Tennessee, Florida, Alaska, round out the top 5. The least tax-friendly states, New Jersey, Wisconsin, New York, Connecticut, and number 1 with a bullet?
Illinois.
Bingo. But it's
Congratulations, we've done it again. I mean, really.
we continue to retain the title. It's at least a three-peat. Move aside, MJ.
Let's have a party in Grant Park.
The most interesting thing about this list, I just want to punctuate. In the top 10 least tax-friendly states, Wisconsin is 4th. So when you have tens of thousands of people leaving Lake County or Chicagoland for Wisconsin, understand Wisconsin is not a low-tax state. But it's just a lower tax state that's better run, and it has fully funded pensions, and it provides services for people and families with who have family members with disabilities. It keeps its promises, both to pensioners, to those in need of social services through no fault of their own, which we say we do, but we don't. In addition to having the highest tax burden in the nation, in addition to running up the most per capita debt in the nation. Remarkable commentary on Illinois.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Are we passing the last exit from Trump land? We're going to talk to New York Times columnist, his maiden voyage, Ross Douthat, at 8:38.
But now let's head straight into the newsroom and catch up once again with Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, rain showers, 61 degrees. A French police union official says 4 police officers have died in a knife attack carried out by an administrator inside the Paris police headquarters. The attacker was shot to death. The union official, Loc Travers, saying the attack appears to have begun inside of an office and continued elsewhere inside the massive compound just across the street from Notre Dame's cathedral. The motive is unknown, but the employee of the French police allegedly who was responsible for the violence apparently had never posed any problems before. Nearly 24 paratroopers are recovering after a military exercise in Mississippi gone wrong. It was a night jump at Camp Shelby. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign says he's improving after a major procedure to relieve a blocked artery. The price of Parmesan cheese will be going up because of the latest round of Trump tariffs. A cheese-making consortium in Italy saying consumers will pay an extra $5 a kilo, 2.2 pounds, for Italian Parmesan cheese because of the new tariffs announced on a range of European goods. The president of the cheese consortium saying the tariffs will unjustly impact one of the last remaining strong sectors of Italy's economy. A man suspected of shooting his stepdaughter outside Elmhurst Hospital is dead after turning the gun on himself. The hospital was placed on a brief lockdown after the incident. The stepdaughter is in critical condition. A 17-year-old boy remains in critical condition following a shooting on Chicago's west side in the 5800 block of West Washington Boulevard. And Governor J.B. Pritzker says Senator Marty Sandoval should step down as chairman of the Transportation Committee while under federal investigation for fraud and other charges. Baseball, Tampa Bay over the A's in the AL wildcard game, 5-1. MLB postseason shifting into the National League Division Series. First up, Braves and Cardinals tonight. The news service of Indeed.com, used by business owners and HR professionals to post job openings with screener questions, then sort, review, and communicate with candidates from an online dashboard. Learn more at Indeed.com/hire. 8:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher watches the Democrats in a frenzy.
We got dragged through years of Russia and nothing there. They pivoted to racism. That didn't seem to work. So cue the whistleblower who doesn't like a conversation that the president had with Ukraine. They have no shame left.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, Craig and Leslie here from In the Know. We know how important it is to take a partner in the passenger seat when you're on a long road trip. You need a trusted friend and a voice to help you navigate through the hills and valleys of your journey. We want to be that voice for you on your road to retirement.
Absolutely. Our whole team at Wealth Management Group will be by your side for the long haul.
Let Wealth Management Group be your compass and your guide to retirement.
Find us at investwithwmg.com and tune in each week to In the Know Sunday mornings at 10 right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Stop wasting energy. There's a better way. Your company could be receiving energy efficiency incentives by recycling waste heat from on-site power generation equipment and turning it into useful energy. The federal government is pushing utility companies to be more efficient. In turn, utility companies are offering incentives for your business. Charles Equipment can help get you up and running with cogeneration, also known as CHP, combined heat and power. A clean and efficient way to generate heat and power. CHP systems can supply at least a portion of a building's electrical load and capture waste heat from hot exhaust gases for use in heating, cooling, hot water, and dehumidification. Charles Equipment can install and manage the cogen equipment at your facility and help your energy use become 70 to 90% more efficient. Start making better, more energy efficient decisions and save money in the process. Call Charles Equipment 630-834-6000 or online at charlesequipment.com. Reliable industrial generators. They've got the power.
8:37 AM 560 traffic center time. In for Jim, here's Eddie Manzano.
Inbound Edens, Lake Hook to the junction at 22 minutes on the outbound 45. Heavy from the junction to the spur. Inbound Kennedy, solid from Nago to the junction. Heavy from there to the tunnel. O'Hare to downtown at an hour and 3 from the junction 34. Express lanes at 35. The feeder ramp is backed up. Outbound to the junction from downtown at 22 to O'Hare at 55. Heavy from Damon to Cumberland. Inbound Ike, Thorndale to the post office an hour 15. Outbound 45. Inbound Stevenson 55 to Lakeshore Drive an hour 32. Jammed up from Route 53 to the Dan Ryan. Outbound at 45. Pockets of delays from State to the Tri-State. Inbound Dan Ryan 95 to downtown at 40. Outbound 15 problem free. Inbound Bishop Ford solid from 115 to the Dan Ryan. 8094 Dan Ryan at 50. Outbound no delays. That's traffic. I'm Eddie Manzano on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. We expect an afternoon dry up, at least a bit of one. Clouds and sun, 67. 61 right now. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour radio show, Saturday afternoons at 3 on AM 560 The Answer. Brought to you by Pearshell Financial Group.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and I've been a longtime reader of our next guest. Don't always agree with them, but it's always thought-provoking, well-written content. And Ross Douthat is going to be in Chicago October 10th to the 12th. He's going to be one of the participants and presenters at the Touchstone Magazine conference, along with other great intellects like Anthony Esselin, Rod Dreyer, many others. Fight or Flight, the Benedict, and other options for facing the world, the flesh, and the devil. This is at Trinity University in Deerfield. You can go to touchdownmag.com to register. Again, October 10th to the 12th. Ross has written some provocative columns of late in the context of the impeachment melodrama playing out before us. And we're pleased to be welcomed by Ross Douthat, author and New York Times columnist. Ross, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
So one of your more recent pieces, you talk of the last exit from Trump land. And so I guess the question for some, are we passing that last exit from Trump land? And a corollary would be, should we be doing so happily? You seem to suggest we need to get beyond President Trump as quickly as humanly possible.
Well, I think what I was saying in the column was that if you talk to Republicans in Washington, sort of, not on the record, but off the record, all of them find the idea of another 4 years of the Trump presidency kind of unimaginable. There's no real policy agenda to speak of. Trump himself has sort of cleaned house and reduced his White House to his family members and a few aides who are all holding about 6 jobs at once. Mick Mulvaney, his chief of staff, is also doing like 3 other jobs. And so there's sort of an assumption, I think, among a lot of Republicans that the president's going to lose re-election and that that's actually going to be good for the Republican Party because they can start having debates about what the Republican Party should stand for after Trump, which is hard to do as long as he's in office doing nothing and engaging in Twitter wars. The problem is, of course, that Trump could win re-election, right? And,
Yes.
and I think there'll be a lot of Republicans who will have officially supported him who will wake up on Election Day if he wins, if he pulls out another close one, and say, well, what do we do now? And they have no idea. And that was so the argument was basically impeachment is sort of their last out.
It's the so you believe Jeff Flake when he says 30 plus GOP senators would vote to impeach Trump? You believe that?
If they could do so privately.
If it was a secret ballot, right? That was Flake's line.
Right.
But
as long as their voters didn't have to know, I'd say I'd guess half. Yeah, I'd guess half the Senate would. I mean, half the Republican Senate.
Yeah, well, I mean, and Jeff Flake has graduated from the Senate to the salvation business, I read in the Washington Post, which is really quite something. But with respect to the Republicans, there was this back and forth earlier in this week on Twitter where all productive discussions happen, as you know. And
I know well.
Yeah. But it was essentially just some like regular Trump supporter pushing back against some of the pundits who are suffering from Trump battle fatigue because the socialists are unimaginable. And he said, "Hey, look, man up, basically." Even if you don't like his personality, his approach, even if there are aspects of his policy agenda you don't like, I'd suggest there are probably aspects of the policy agendas of previous Republican presidents you didn't like either, which is how we've gotten to this place of $23 trillion in debt, another $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities, and all the other failures of big government gambits that Republicans have participated in. So you know what? Man up a little bit, because turning the keys over to Elizabeth Warren or even Joe Biden, that is what Republicans should see as unimaginable.
Well, and the reality is that all those Republican senators who would vote to remove him if it were a secret ballot are going to officially agree with that person, right? I mean, there's not going to be some big turn against Trump in the Republican primary or in the general election. I think the idea of the impeachment as an exit is that if you impeach Trump, Elizabeth Warren or if you remove him from office, Elizabeth Warren doesn't become president. Joe Biden doesn't become president. Boring old vanilla Republican Mike Pence becomes president. And if it happened really quickly, you would actually then have an interesting Republican primary with a lot of people maybe running against Pence. So weirdly, the case for the Republican who doesn't want Elizabeth Warren weirdly actually has an opportunity in the impeachment debate to get to get Mike Pence as president, basically, which is not what they actually want. I think most Republicans have convinced themselves, many Republican voters have convinced themselves that because Trump beat Hillary, only Trump can beat Warren or Biden and so on. And I'm skeptical of that, but I think that's where the voters are.
Well,
where the senators are is a different matter.
Yeah, I'm skeptical of that too, but I have this qualifier. Anybody who would run in that environment, if it wasn't Mike Pence would be the only one who could essentially argue to the Trump voter that I'm here to seek vengeance on behalf of Trump being deposed, because you would have I assume a significant percentage of Trump voters, many of whom were first time in a long time voters, not be on board with anybody who wasn't part of the Trump regime and as an advocate. And number two, even in the case of Marco Rubio or somebody else, the left is still going to paint all Republicans with a Trump stink in the context of him being removed from office. So I don't, and they'll paint Mike Pence as a theocrat. So I don't know how it's just so simple that you remove Trump and then somebody else just steps up and beats Elizabeth Warren or whoever.
It's not simple at all. It's a triple bank shot.
Okay.
The only argument for it is that if Trump, when you look at what's happening in the Trump White House now, what's happened since the Democrats took the House, sort of the condition of the Trump administration, and you say, we're going to put this guy in office for 4 more years. We've sort of skated through without a big foreign policy crisis or a recession. If you get either of those in a Trump second term, I don't think his White House is equipped. I don't think they're equipped to handle anything right now. And I think that's for a lot of Republicans in Washington, the fear that you reelect him, you beat Elizabeth Warren, you congratulate yourselves, and then you get something like the last 2 years of George W. Bush's presidency, where basically bad things happen and the Republican Party is totally wiped out. pundits are always wrong about the future. So,
Well, do you feel as if President Trump hijacked the Republican Party? That he saw, look, I'm not going to be able to beat him, because he was at one point in time. Well, he has donated to Democratic candidates.
He didn't steal it. I mean, he stood for election.
I think Trump saw a real gap between where Republican voters were and where Republican politicians were.
Yeah.
And I think his campaign did a really good job of exploiting that and saying, this party stands for endless wars and tax cuts for the rich. I'm going to be the party of, come home America and rebuild infrastructure and, middle-class tax cuts. I think his campaign was really successful at that, and in a way he deserved to win. I think as president, he hasn't really known how to translate that into effective policymaking. And he, like a pundit, he'd rather be arguing on Twitter than dealing with Capitol Hill.
Well,
and I sympathize with that, but it's hard to imagine how it runs for another 5 years, I guess.
I want to get to beyond Trump and actually go before Trump. This piece that you wrote in the New York Times, "The Corruption Before Trump," is really, really interesting. And I like the comparison, too, to sort of the old Roman Republic and how personal enrichment worked at that time with statesmen versus how the personal enrichment paradigm that we've installed in this country, and that in part, as you were just talking about, gave rise to President Trump. Lay that out for us.
Sure. I mean, basically, we have a system where we're an incredibly rich society, and if you're a politician in Washington, D.C., you're surrounded by people who are much, much richer than you, and you're sort of in competition with them for where you're going to send your kids to school and what kind of home you're going to buy and so on. And so we've evolved this system where politicians are able to get rich after they're in office, not by taking bribes or doing things that are sort of overtly illegal or corrupt, but by sitting on 6 corporate boards and doing lobbying work for our allies and all of the kind of things of which Hunter Biden working for a Ukrainian gas company is sort of the most extreme example. And I think a big part of what gave us Trump was this sense that you had all these politicians of both parties who were doing this, who were sort of moving back and forth in and out of government, working not just for American companies, but for foreign companies. And their projects kept making them money, but not delivering for America, right? We had huge intervention in the Middle East. We sent all our best and brightest to Russia after the end of after the Soviet Union fell, and they were supposed to turn Russia into a capitalist democracy. We've had all of this interaction with China where, it was supposed to make China free, right? We were going to open Chinese markets and everyone was going to get rich and China was going to become a democracy. And instead, the Middle East is a mess. Russia is run by Putin and China is becoming more authoritarian. And we lost a ton of manufacturing jobs to them. And yet people in Washington kept getting rich.
Well,
and so there's sort of a failure of this bargain, basically. I think the American people don't mind if their politicians get rich after they're in office, as long as the projects those politicians are working on seem to be succeeding for the country as a whole. And that, I think, hasn't been happening over the last 20 years.
Yeah, you write in your piece about this. Trump was offering a unified rejection of the entire way that American public servants of both parties have claimed to harmonize small r Republican service and self-enrichment, the entire ideological edifice justifying cashing in. And I know that there are concerns about Trump as the messenger and the deliverer on that topic. But I mean, do you think that perhaps the message resonated? The message, and I'm not talking about in the 2016 election. I'm saying, do you think the message resonated within the circles of Republican Party politics, so they will take the lesson and in the future, beyond Trump, whether it's one more term or not, they will adopt that as part of the Republican value proposition, or if not, they should?
They should. I'm not sure they will. I mean, I think Trump, like if you look right now, right, I mean, the way Trump has governed is basically he has been in certain ways more flagrant in terms of, having foreign potentates come stay at his hotel and so on. And the way that he justifies this is by saying everything is corrupt, the others are more corrupt than I am, and so on. And that's his message, right? His message is not, I'm the most honorable and honest of men. DC is so corrupt that you need a tough guy like me to deal with it. I think that message will continue, but I think if you wanted to really fix the system, you would have to go beyond that. You would have to say, you would have to have a Republican leadership that was, frankly, a little bit less self-interested than Trump, and that sort of could be seen as draining, not just defeating their enemies. That's what Trump is. Trump is basically voters saying the system is corrupt. We just want someone to defeat our enemies, and that's fine for sort of day-to-day battles. But if you want to really change the system, you have to go beyond that a little bit.
But isn't it more than just day-to-day battles? Because I would suggest that his unwillingness to defer to most of the assembled constituencies of the cultural Marxist left, that's a real value add. That's not only does it stop bad things potentially or retard the speed at which they're being implemented. It sets the table for the fight for other people to engage. So, I mean, if you're concerned about all of the pernicious manifestations of identity politics, then you've basically had for example, protecting things that we should hold inviolate, like religious liberty or the sanctity of human life. Then you've had a friend in President Trump.
Sure. The question is, and I'm just pushing on you a little bit, right?
Yeah,
the
sure,
question is, this is, we're a democratic society where you win victories ultimately by persuading lots of people who weren't on your side to be on your side. And that's what, if you look at Ronald Reagan's big victories, that's what he did. Reaganism was a 55% of the country proposition for the Republican Party. Right now, Trumpism is a 40 to 45% of the country proposition.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's basically the guy. He's doing something defensive, right, for conservatives. He's saying, I'm going to fight every battle. I'm not going to concede an inch, and I'm going to create space maybe for other people to fight battles as well. And that can be valuable, but you still have to figure out a way to get from 40, right now 40% of the country supports Trump. That's poll after poll, and then you can get up to 45% if he stays off Twitter for a couple weeks. You need to figure out how you get from there to 55%, or else this is just a sort of temporary, bulwark thrown up against forces that are going to overwhelm you eventually.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point and a good analysis. But I would say I think there's an underappreciation for creating the space for other people to fill in and battle rather than just being passively throwing up their hands because they see Republicans for at least a couple generations that were sort of, to borrow a Roger Kimballism, the housebroken mascots of the party, but they weren't fighters and they weren't galvanizing other people to fight some of these cultural and economic battles. And Trump has done that. So, yeah, what's the transition and how quickly do you get to it? All fair points, but that making the ground fertile for people to battle on principle, that's a big thing.
Yeah, I think there's absolutely a world where you look back and say the Trump era was this really important turning point for the Republican Party and figuring out what it actually stands for in a post-Cold War world, right? As sort of, getting beyond the Reagan agenda, which was an agenda for the 1970s and 1980s. But the question again is, how do you get there without letting Trump's faults do a lot of damage along the way?
But a lot of people like the way he works. I mean, yesterday he talked about enemies, jock straps. He called himself a
blank
stable...
straps.
Blank strap. Oh, well,
yeah.
Fill in the blank if you know what I mean.
Straps.
Blank straps,
yeah. Called himself a stable genius. And, some Democrats that didn't vote for decades came out to vote for President Trump.
Yeah, Trump built a different regional coalition than any Republican had in the last few decades. He didn't just activate voters. He got a swath of voters who had gone for Barack Obama twice to cross over and vote for him, and that's a big deal. At the same time, his approval ratings are stuck between 39% and 43%, and that's a problem if you want to actually govern the country.
He is Ross Douthat. He is an author, New York Times columnist, and even if you don't always agree with him, You must read them. No,
They'll write that on my tombstone.
Dan reads you, but he doesn't agree with you all the time.
I'm a big fan.
No, thanks for coming on the
He's
show.
a great intellect, and you should check him out and a bunch of other great intellects. October 10th to the 12th, Trinity University in Deerfield, the Touchstone Magazine Fight or Flight Conference. Register online, touchstonemag.com. Ross, thanks so much for joining us. Really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Thanks to you both. Have a good morning.
Thank you. Always a pleasure. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you looking to improve your home? Why not make it easy? Don't miss the free Home and Garden Show this weekend only at Pheasant Run in St. Charles. Find the ultimate in savings and convenience with thousands of the latest home products and services for the freshest ideas to remodel, repair, and beautify your home, inside and out. Get trusted advice on your upcoming projects as you speak with local and national experts who will help you with all your home improvement needs. And be sure to attend the free expert seminars and see live product demonstrations all weekend. Be sure to grab your fall plants, flowers, and pumpkins by We Grow Dreams and Sunny Acres, and so much more. From interiors to exteriors, from decor to outdoor, you'll find it all at the Home and Garden Show this weekend at Pheasant Run in St. Charles with free admission and free parking. For more details, visit pheasantrunhomeshow.com. That's pheasantrunhomeshow.com. Don't miss the free Home and Garden Show this weekend in St. Charles. Visit pheasantrunhomeshow.com for more details.
Hi, it's
Make
Amy
sure to
Jacobson.
check out
Our
the income
listeners helped build MyPillow into the amazing company that it is today. And now MyPillow is giving back to our listeners. You can get deep discounts on all MyPillow products by going to MyPillow.com and clicking on the Radio Listener Specials box. I love these pillows, and you know you will too. So receive huge discounts on MyPillows, mattress toppers, my favorite, the Giza sheets, and more. For example, the body pillow that provides the perfect comfort and support for your entire body is regularly $89.99. But with the promo code Amy, it's only $29.99. All products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. Go to MyPillow.com and click on the Radio Listener Specials box and get deep discounts on all products, including MyPillows for only $29.99. You'll get 30% off mattress toppers and deep discounts on Giza cotton sheets. That's MyPillow.com. Click the Radio Specials box and enter promo code Amy or call 800-489-0201. That's MyPillow.com, promo code Amy.
Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity on AM 560. The Answer.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Piers Nachawati with principal office in Dallas, Texas is responsible for the content of this ad. This is an urgent message for anyone exposed to the herbicide Roundup and diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. The World Health Organization has designated Roundup weed killer as a probable human carcinogen. If you've come in contact with Roundup and have been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, you may be entitled to compensation. A free consultation is now available to discuss your options and help you understand your legal rights and actions. Call 800-705-2717. Roundup is the most widely used herbicide in the United States, and a California jury recently awarded $289 million to a landscaper who claimed Roundup gave him cancer. But time is limited to file a claim. If you worked with Roundup weed killer and have been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, call the Roundup Legal Helpline now. You could be entitled to significant compensation. Call 800-705-2717. That's 800-705-2717. 800-705-2717.
Al Kovac Jr., Navy veteran, Paralyzed Veterans of America.
You fought the good fight and served your country with valor. Now it's our turn to fight for you.
Sherman Gillums Jr., Marine Corps veteran,